Chapter 182. Wu Xiaowan was rated as the #1 goddess on the school forum. Her class was definitely very popular. The entire classroom was filled with students even before the official start class. When Li Changxing appeared, if it wasn't for Ma Yi waving at him, he really wouldn't have been able to find his seat. Zhang Xiaofeng and his girlfriend, Shang Shuqin, also came. They sat in a corner of the school and didn't notice Li Changxing sitting in the center. There were too many people in the class, almost exceeding the capacity of the class. The seductively dressed girl from that day, Wei Qingqing, was sitting not far from Li Changxing. Her gaze occasionally glanced at Li Changxing, but she wasn't looking at Li Changxing. Instead, she was looking at a handsome boy sitting in front of Li Changxing. Li Changxing felt that the back of the other party was somewhat familiar. When he saw Ma Yi, Zhang Wenbin, and the other two's eyes that were about to spit fire, he suddenly remembered. Wasn't this the young man named Ji Lin who fought with Ma Yi and the others in the cafeteria yesterday? This really could be called enemies on a narrow road. In our class, a student from another class dares to sit in front of us. Should we teach him a lesson after class? After yesterday's battle, Zhang Wenbin had a lot of confidence in his combat strength and asked Ma Yi. Ma Yi was the class monitor and also the leader of the small circle of the three of them. Don't mess around. It wasn't easy to suppress yesterday's matter. If another one happens, I don't need to be the class monitor anymore. Ma Yi replied in a low voice. Zhang Wenbin didn't say much. The reason why he said so was to show his attitude. No one was willing to be given a big demerit because of this. Ji Lin seemed to know what Ma Yi and the others were talking about. He turned his head and gave Zhang Wenbin a provocative look, causing Zhang Wenbin to almost go berserk. However, he immediately saw 7 or 8 boys sitting in the same row as Ji Lin turned their heads at the same time with murderous looks. The other party obviously came prepared. Zhang Wenbin, who was about to get angry, felt like a bucket of cold water was poured over his head. Ma Yi and Zhao Qinggan also shrunk their necks. After all, they were only students. If they dared to fight in a situation where both sides were evenly matched, they naturally wouldn't be able to be unyielding if the other party had more people. Li Changxing watched this scene with interest. At this time, Li Changxing's phone screen suddenly lit up. It was a video sent by Wu Xiaowan. Because the classroom was too noisy, she quietly got up and went outside the classroom to answer the phone. On the other end of the video call, Wu Xiaowan was driving. She had on light makeup, which made her look very attractive. Li Changxing, did you come to my class today? If you don't come, I'll report it to the school leaders. I'm here. Li Changxing smiled bitterly. If other people were targeted by such a great beauty, they would probably wake up laughing in their dreams, but Li Changxing could only smile bitterly. Wu Xiaowan was not his type, and it would only be a waste of time if he continued to pester her. Really? You're actually willing to attend my class? Wu Xiaowan's face showed some surprise. She had said that on purpose yesterday, but she didn't expect Li Changxing to actually come to class. I'm stuck in a traffic jam. I'll be in the classroom in 10 minutes. Li Changxing, if you dare to lie to me, I'll definitely ask the school to give you a big punishment. As she said that, she even made threatening gestures. After hanging up the phone, Li Changxing adjusted his white shirt. He was dressed more formally today, not because of Wu Xiaowan, but because the combat team had been training for so long. Today, the school leaders were going to conduct an inspection. As the coach, Li Changxing felt that he should dress more formally. Almost 10 minutes had passed since the class started, and Wu Xiaowan still hadn't appeared. The classroom was already abuzz with discussion. Why isn't Ms. Wu here yet? Could it be that something happened? I specially came here to listen to the goddess's class. Could it be that she got another teacher to substitute for her? That would be terrible. Everyone was whispering to each other and discussing. At this moment, Li Changxing, who had finished smoking a cigarette in the corridor, pushed open the door and walked in. The moment the door opened, the classroom fell into silence. Everyone looked at the door. When they saw that it was Li Changxing who walked in, they were all puzzled. Why is a young man who came in? Where's my goddess? Could it be that my jinx was right? The goddess can't come today because of something, so he's going to substitute for her? There was a buzz of discussion. This teacher looks quite young. Could it be that he's an intern? All kinds of discussions fell into Li Changxing's ears, and he was stunned. Just as he was about to walk back to his seat, he saw a figure stand up. "Where's Ms. Wu? Why isn't she here yet? What are you doing?" Li Changxing took a closer look. It was Ji Lin who was sitting in front of him. He didn't seem to recognize him. But then again, Li Changxing was too ordinary. So ordinary that people would completely ignore his existence. "We're here to listen to Ms. Wu's lecture." "Where's Ms. Wu?" Ji Lin's companions who came with him jeered. "Young teacher, we're here to look at beauties. Hurry up and call Ms. Wu and ask her to come to class." Li Changxing, who was about to walk away, paused for a moment. The corner of his mouth revealed a somewhat evil smile. Then, he turned around and walked directly to the podium. In the corner of the classroom, Shang Xuqin looked at Zhang Xiaofeng with a puzzled expression. "Hubby, what's your roommate going to do?" "I don't know either." Zhang Xiaofeng was also at a loss. At this moment, Li Changxing, under everyone's gaze, stood on the podium and pretended to arrange the books on the podium. Then, he pointed at Ji Lin and his companions and said, "These students, the school opened this class for you to learn, not for you to look at beauties. If you find me an eyesore, please leave the classroom." Ma Yi, Zhang Wenbin, and the other two who knew Li Changxing's identity were completely dumbfounded. The other students also held their breaths. Wei Qingqing, who frequently cast glances at Ji Lin and also knew Li Changxing's identity, was just about to remind him when she saw Ji Lin sneer and directly pull the chair away. Then, he turned around and strode toward the door of the classroom. His companions also followed behind him. They held their heads high and swaggered away in an unusually confident manner. Before leaving, they not only challenged the teacher's dignity, but also showed their own maverick behavior. In their eyes, they were very showy, arrogant, and unscrupulous. The others looked at Li Changxing, who was standing on the podium. They thought, being made such a scene in public by a few students is tantamount to being slapped in the face. Let's see how he can get out of this situation. However, unexpectedly, Li Changxing just smiled and patted the chalk dust on his body. Then he walked to the side of Ma Yi and the other two who had completely fallen into a daze and sat down. He picked up a book called Economic Planning and casually flipped through it. Half a minute later, the classroom door was opened again. Wu Xiaowan, who was wearing a uniform, felt the strange atmosphere in the class. She walked to the podium with a puzzled expression and said, "I'm really sorry. There was a traffic jam on the way, and I'm late for more than 10 minutes. I apologize to everyone." The whole class suddenly fell into a strange silence. Chapter 183. Countless gazes were searching for Li Changxing's figure. Shang Xuqin, who was sitting in the corner, even covered her mouth and blurted out, "Too awesome." Zhang Xiaofeng's face was also full of confusion. He thought to himself, "This roommate of mine is really not ordinary valiant." Ma Yi, Zhang Wenbin, and the other two looked at Li Changxing, who was sitting next to them, not knowing what to say. This scene was destined to be an unforgettable scene in people's memory. After leaving the classroom, Ji Lin and the others sat under the basketball hoop in the school field, each of them holding a cigarette in their mouth. That counselor was so arrogant. When we walked out in front of him, I saw that his face was green. A male student said with a bit of pride. He felt that his posture when walking out of the classroom today was incomparably cool. Yeah, he even pulled a long face at us. "Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself?" The other guy had a 3mm haircut and an earring on his ear, which made him look rather unconventional. Ji Lin smiled and didn't say anything, but his eyes were clearly filled with pride. In the classroom, although Wu Xiaowan was puzzled by the strange atmosphere today, she still officially started the class. To be able to become a teacher in such a university at such a young age, Wu Xiaowan was not only because of her relationship with her father and Shen Ligua, but also because her own ability was very outstanding. As Wu Xiaowan started the class, everyone gradually shifted their attention away from Li Changxing. A great beauty who could captivate birds and beasts was standing on the podium. For many people, it was a visual pleasure. Only then did Ma Yi and the others react and give Li Changsheng a thumbs up. Bro, you're awesome. If Jilin knew that you weren't a teacher, I'm afraid his lungs would explode. Thinking of his archenemy's furious appearance, he felt a burst of joy in his heart. Yet today was really too satisfying. Zhang Wenbin also said excitedly. Only Zhao Qinggan's face had some worry. Jilin is not a good person. Li Changsheng, you have to be careful when you go out in the future. Don't be alone and get caught by them. This was the first time someone whispered in her class. Wu Xiaowan was slightly dissatisfied in her heart when she looked in the direction of the voice and saw Li Changsheng sitting there. All her dissatisfaction suddenly disappeared. This guy really came in my class. For a moment, she was absent-minded. Pay attention in class. Don't talk too much. Teacher will get angry. Zhao Qinggan said. He felt sour in his heart. It seemed that Li Changsheng's addition had replaced his importance in the small group of 3. Teacher Wu is really beautiful. I heard that she's still young. I really want to have a passionate relationship with her. A man behind Li Changsheng said in a low voice. Stop dreaming. Jilin is a famous figure in the school. I heard that he's pursuing Wu Xiaowan, but Wu Xiaowan didn't agree even once. Do you think you have a chance? Someone said. Li Changsheng recalled that Wu Xiaowan had recognized Ma Yi and Jilin at a glance in the cafeteria. So they were Wu Xiaowan's pursuers. Taking advantage of the time when Wu Xiaowan turned her back and wrote a string of professional terms on the blackboard, Ma Yi poked Li Changsheng's arm. Is Wu Xiaowan beautiful? Are you a little moved? The topic between men could never be separated from women. Sure enough, when Ma Yi said that, Zhang Wenbin also became interested. Teacher Wu is the goddess in the hearts of every boy in our school. Who wouldn't be moved? Zhang Wenbin said. Li Changsheng smiled. I'm not moved, and I think that although she's beautiful, she's not my cup of tea. TSK, you're saying that grapes are sour because you can't eat them, right? Zhao Qinggan curled his lips in disdain. Yeah, brother. Don't pretend. If Teacher Wu threw herself into your arms, I'm afraid you'll wake up laughing in your dreams. A boy next to him interrupted at the right time. Because Li Changsheng was in the limelight just now, many people were willing to take the initiative to talk to him. Teacher Wu, you're late today. Shouldn't you compensate us? Just as the class was coming to an end, a boy said loudly, Yeah, Teacher Wu, you have to give us some benefits. Otherwise, we won't do it. Why don't you sing a song? I think the most popular song this year, Itchy, is pretty good. Some people started to make a fuss. College students' fear of teachers had been infinitely reduced. Especially Wu Xiaowan was so young and beautiful. If she wasn't standing on the podium, no one would think of her as a teacher. What's so good about singing? Let's dance. Yes, dance. As soon as they heard someone's suggestion, a lot of voices echoed. After seeing Wu Xiaowan's elegant demeanor on the podium, they wanted to see the other side of Wu Xiaowan. Glancing at Li Changsheng, who was sitting there with his head lowered and playing with his mobile phone, Wu Xiaowan smiled and nodded. Okay, but it's a bit awkward for me to dance alone. Why don't I find a classmate to dance with me? As soon as her voice fell, cheers sounded in the classroom. Countless people raised their hands. To be able to dance with the goddess in their hearts, such an opportunity was enough to make many boys go crazy. Zhang Wenbin, Zhao Qinggan, and the class monitor, Ma Yi, who had always been steady, also raised their hands. What a joke. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they missed it, there wouldn't be another one. Everyone quiet down. Wu Xiaowan pressed her hands, and the voices gradually quieted down. I'm very happy that you are so enthusiastic, but I have to choose one. How about this? I'll close my eyes and point at random. Whoever I point at will come up and dance with me. How about it? When Wu Xiaowan said this, Li Changsheng secretly said, not good in his heart. Sure enough, she closed her eyes and suddenly pointed in the direction of Li Changsheng. But because she closed her eyes first and then stretched out her finger, the direction was a bit off. She pointed at Zhao Qinggan, who was next to Li Changsheng. Zhao Qinggan suddenly received many people's attention. He had a kind of excitement from being hit by happiness. He stood up and said excitedly, I was actually chosen. I can dance with the goddess. Wu Xiaowan opened her eyes and was a bit dumbfounded. Seeing that Zhao Qinggan was about to walk out, she hurriedly waved her hand and said, "This student, you misunderstood. The position I pointed at is obviously him." In a split second, the smile on Zhao Qinggan's face froze. Countless gazes focused on Li Changsheng. Damn, it's this guy again. Today's limelight has been stolen by this guy. I'm so envious and jealous. Why isn't the one she pointed at me? Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin's eyes revealed doubt. They clearly saw that Wu Xiaowan pointed at Zhao Qinggan. Why would Wu Xiaowan say that it was Li Changsheng's? Or was it that she didn't point at random, but chose Li Changsheng in advance? The smile on Zhao Qinggan's face faded and was replaced by a flushed and embarrassed face. He was about to leave his seat in front of so many people, but in the end, this spot fell on Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng smiled helplessly and thought, if I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come to this finance class. Chapter 184. Teacher, I don't know how to dance. Li Changsheng shakes his head and refuses. It's okay, teacher can teach you. Wu Xiaowan smiles like a fox who has succeeded in her plot. When these words come out, many people who are slow to react also see the abnormality. I'll perform a pole dance for everyone. Li Changsheng classmate, you only need to act as the pole. Wu Xiaowan winks at Li Changsheng. Suddenly, there's a burst of noise in the classroom. The usually quiet and elegant Wu Xiaowan unexpectedly wants to perform such a bold and open dance. Although many people are somewhat envious and jealous of Li Changsheng, who can be the pole, at this moment, they are also full of expectation. Wu Xiaowan hooks her finger at Li Changsheng. Everyone in the classroom stares with their eyes wide open, not wanting to miss any details. Shang Shuqin behind also has a puzzled face. Why do I feel that teacher Wu Xiaowan and Li Changsheng seem to know each other in private? A woman's sixth sense has always been very accurate. Zhang Xiaofeng doesn't know the relationship between Li Changsheng and Wu Xiaowan. He just pats his chest and proudly says, "That's right. I told you that our dormitory people are all hidden dragons and crouching tigers, but you just don't believe me." At this moment, under the gaze of the whole class, Li Changsheng leaves his seat and walks to the podium. Wu Xiaowan's dancing skills are actually very clumsy, but she can't stand up to her beauty and good figure. She just symbolically does a few movements, which causes screams again and again. Okay, that's all I know. Wu Xiaowan tidies up the hair that covers her eyes, looking very charming. Li Changsheng is about to turn around and return to his seat, when suddenly Wu Xiaowan's high-heeled shoes twisted, and then the whole person throws herself into Li Changsheng's arms. That pair of red lips kissed Li Changsheng's cheek at just the right moment. In an instant, the noise in the classroom comes to an abrupt end, and everyone stares with their eyes wide open. This is destined to be the scene of envy and jealousy of every boy. Wu Xiaowan in uniform, Li Changsheng. Such a scene is frozen for a few seconds, until Wu Xiaowan's cheeks crimson and leaves Li Changsheng's arms. As the bell rings and just walked out of the classroom, there's a burst of noise in the classroom. Zhao Qinggan, who originally had hopes of dancing with the beautiful goddess, looked at Li Changsheng, who had taken his place and enjoyed his luck with women. He didn't know what to think. Ma Yi, Zhang Wenbin gives a thumbs up again. Below the stage, one can unscrupulously construct a beautiful dream, but the probability of being able to have close contact with the goddess is only 1 in 1,000. Li Changsheng not only got this 1 in 1,000, but also coincidentally the goddess throws herself into his arms and gives him a kiss. This simply makes people go crazy with jealousy. And with this class, the story of an ordinary student who can't be any more ordinary also starts to spread in the campus of Qingzhou University. After class, everyone rushes out of the classroom. Ma Yi comes over and directly puts his arm around Li Changsheng's shoulder. "Brother, you did well today. I must treat you to a meal to make up for yesterday." Li Changsheng doesn't know if he's referring to Ji Lin and the others leaving the classroom, or the dance with Wu Xiaowan, or both, but he doesn't refuse. From Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin's eyes, he knows that he is probably reluctantly integrated into their circle. Zhao Qinggan is a bit unhappy. Compared to Li Changsheng, who is in the limelight, he is a typical example of being slapped in the face. "I'm not feeling well. I'll go back to the dorm first. Zhao Chenggan said. Don't. Let's go eat together. Zhang Wenbin forcibly pulls Zhao Chenggan to the cafeteria. Zhao Chenggan is obviously a bit unwilling, but he doesn't refuse. Fortunately, this lunch went smoothly, and Ma, Yi, and the others didn't meet any enemies. At the dining table, several people are still talking about what happened in the classroom. Zhang Xiaofeng and his girlfriend Shang Shuqin are sitting not far away. When they pass by this table, they say hello to Li Changsheng. When talking about Wu Xiaowan, they have to extend the topic to the other campus beauties on the school forum. Chu Meng and Zheng Chan just happened to appear in the cafeteria, causing a stir. Look, it's Chu Meng. She is the #1 campus beauty of our Qingzhou University. I heard that she also knows martial arts. Zhang Wenbin said excitedly. When I was in high school, I was in the same school as her. Her family's business is very big, and in Qingzhou, they can cover the sky with one hand. I heard that the young master of the Qin family, Qin Yi, was pursuing her, but these days, there is no trace of that Qin Yi. Ma Yi, Zhang Wenbin, and the others are also considered influential people in the school, but compared to Qin Yi, one of the 4 young masters of the school, they are somewhat dwarfed. The Qin family fell. Qin, you should have dropped out of school. Ma Yi said. With his family background, he vaguely heard some news, but it is not true. He only knows that the Qin family's power in Quzhou has all disappeared. Regarding the death of Qin Hao and his son, it is regarded as a taboo in the upper circle of Qingzhou. Most people don't know what happened. Look, Chu Meng is looking at us. Zhang Wenbin is a little excited. This Chu Meng is not only beautiful, but most importantly, her family background gives her a layer of mystery. Chu Meng naturally saw Li Changsheng sitting here. She originally wanted to come over and say hello, but when she saw Zheng Chan next to him, in the end, she just smiled at Li Changsheng. The relationship between Zheng Chan and Li Changsheng is not good. Li Changsheng returned the greeting with a smile. The two went to a remote corner with the food and sat down. Many students came in to eat, and soon blocked the sight of Ma Yi and the others. This made Zhang Wenbin, who has been watching Chu Meng, a little regretful. Why do I feel that Chu Meng just smiled at us? Ma Yi looked at Li Changsheng with some doubts. Li Changsheng didn't say anything, just bowed his head and finished the food on the plate. There's a social gathering in the afternoon, starting at 5 o'clock sharp. The standard is high enough. All the influential people of Qingzhou University. Are you interested in seeing it? Ma Yi finished the food and asked with a smile. Okay, be sure to take me. Zhang Wenbin was the first to raise his hand and said. Zhao Chenggan's eyes also lit up. Ma Yi was able to enter the student union as a freshman. In addition, his father was the director of the academic affairs office. He had many connections that others didn't have. If he could make a few useful friends, it would be of great benefit to him after graduation. What about you? Ma Yi looked at Li Changsheng. I won't go. I have something to do in the afternoon. What can a college student do? Zhao Chenggan curled his lips. You can't be afraid that there are too many influential people at the social gathering, and you feel inferior, right? Hearing Zhao Chenggan's words, Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin seemed to understand something. Indeed, although Li Changsheng's performance in class today was amazing, it can't change the fact that he is ordinary, and you can't find any famous brand clothes on him. No, I really have something to do. Li Changsheng smiled. Zhang Wenbin didn't say anything. He has always been good at grasping people's hearts, and he naturally knows that people with low self-esteem are more sensitive. Moreover, the people at today's banquet are not ordinary people. Zhang Wenbin and Zhao Chenggan used to have some reputation among the freshmen, but Li Changsheng is too ordinary. If the status of the friends he brings is too low, it will make him lose face. Chapter 185. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the school's leaders were going to inspect the combat team. Actually, it was called an inspection, but it was more like a performance of the combat team's recent training to the relevant leaders. As the coach, Li Changsheng had to attend. After lunch, he returned to the dormitory to rest for a while. Seeing that it was about time, he walked out. Every training team in the stadium was no stranger to Li Changsheng. Whether it was when he first took on the role of coach, carrying Wang Dongsheng and the others out on stretchers, or later when he fought with Vice Principal Shun Donghai's bodyguards, no one dared to look down on this seemingly ordinary coach. When Li Changsheng walked in, many people took the initiative to greet him. A few girls from the cheerleading team even came up to Li Changsheng to ask for an autograph, completely treating him as their idol. Perhaps in the entire Qingzhou University, Li Changsheng's name was not famous, but in the training team in this stadium, Li Changsheng was no different from a star. Until Li Changsheng walked into the combat room and closed the door, the people outside were still pointing and discussing. In the combat room, Wang Dongsheng, Wei Hu, and Jin Wenwen were already prepared. These days of training made each of them seem like they had been reborn. Li Changsheng even found that Wang Dongsheng was almost at the level of internal force, and Wei Hu and Jin Wenwen were not far behind. Su Jing was also there. She was originally the person in charge of logistics for the combat team, so it could be said that she had witnessed the growth of the combat team. Su Jing was wearing a checkered skirt today, her hair casually tied up, and light blue canvas shoes on her feet. She did not look like a teacher, but more like a young girl in her 20s. When she saw Li Changsheng, she took the initiative to smile and greet Li Changsheng. Her attitude was completely different from when she first met Li Changsheng. Although Li Changsheng did not come to supervise Wang Dongsheng and the others training these days, and did not even show his face once, those training methods were indeed effective. Today, the school's leaders will be reviewing. You must perform well. There's not much time left until the fighting competition. When the time comes, I hope each of you can bring back a golden belt. Wang Dongsheng, Jin Wenwen, and Wei Hu just happened to represent the lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight weight classes. It's the coach. I will definitely succeed. The three of them said in unison. All right, you guys get ready first. I'll go out and see if the school leaders are here. Li Changsheng walked out of the room and saw that several directors of the school had already arrived. Principal Qinligua would also be here today. With less than 20 minutes to go, Li Changsheng leaned against a pillar in the stadium and lit a cigarette. Today, not only the various training teams, but many students who heard the news also came to watch the fun. A man in sportswear walked in front of Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng raised his head and saw Wang Jian. When he first came to school, Wang Jian was the one who tested him. In the end, he broke a sandbag and Wang Jian was almost disfigured. The fighting team will shine in your hands, Wang Jian said sincerely. He had already fought with Wang Dongsheng before and was surprised by Wang Dongsheng's improvement. I heard that a beauty threw herself at you in the finance class this morning. Wang Jian and Li Changsheng leaned against the pillar side by side and also took out a cigarette and lit it. Wu Shaowan is the dream goddess of many boys in the school. I didn't expect you to be so lucky. Hee hee. Li Changsheng's mouth twitched. He didn't discuss this topic further with Wang Jian. Do you know the identity of the bald man? Wang Jian pointed at a middle-aged man in a row in the classroom and asked. Li Changsheng shook his head. His eyes were filled with doubt. He is Ji Lin's father. He is also a special professor of the school. Li Changsheng thought of the few figures who left the class in the morning and couldn't help but smile. I didn't expect you to be so bad. Wang Jian laughed heartily. Coincidentally, there was one of his students who knew Li Changsheng. He told him about how Li Changsheng pretended to be a teacher and chased Ji Lin out of the class in the morning, which made him burst out laughing. Not far away, Ji Lin, who had come to look for his father, happened to see Li Changsheng, who was leaning against the wall and smoking. He had already learned the truth of the matter, and the moment he saw Li Changsheng, his anger surged. He originally thought that he would be able to strut around in class and steal the limelight. Who would have thought that he would be played like a monkey, like a clown? This was a great humiliation. Thus, Ji Lin called out to his friends who were standing not too far away and walked up to Li Changsheng in an aggressive manner. The chatter in the stadium gradually died down. As long as one wasn't stupid, one could tell that something was about to happen. Ji Lin was a famous figure amongst the freshmen of the school, and his friends were usually very happy to dance around. As for Li Changsheng, most of the people in the stadium were no stranger to him. Li Changsheng stubbed out his cigarette and threw it into the trash can next to him. The PE teacher, Wang Jian, who was standing next to him, smiled. He looked like he was watching a show and didn't intend to intervene. Jilin's group of 5 were all over 8 meters tall. They stood there like a wall of meat, looking very imposing. The people around them held their breaths, waiting to see a good show. They all knew how terrifying Li Changxing's battle prowess was. They thought to themselves, Jilin wants to make trouble for Li Changxing. He's quite bold. Of course, Jilin interpreted these gazes as pity for Li Changxing. He had been played in the morning, so of course he wanted to get back at Li Changxing. Kid, it's time to settle the score from this morning's class. Jilin clenched his fists. His tall height, long hair, and handsome face were enough to defeat Li Changxing. Some of the girls nearby couldn't bear to look at him. Such a handsome face. It would be a pity if Coach Li punched him twice. Jilin and the others thought that they were very handsome and in the limelight, but they didn't know that in the eyes of the people around them, they were dancing on the edge of a knife. Because Li Changxing standing in front of him was not a cat or dog that could be easily defeated. He was a fierce tiger that would choose people to eat. Li Changxing didn't speak. Jilin's confidence swelled. He reached out his hand and grabbed Li Changxing's collar. He sneered, "Today my dad is here, so I won't beat you. If you are a man, tomorrow morning on the sports field, we will settle our grudges in a man's way." After he finished speaking, he turned around and left with his head held high, feeling very good about himself. The surrounding people exclaimed, which greatly satisfied Ji Lin's vanity. Wang Jian shook his head and thought to himself, I don't know where the youngsters these days get their confidence from. Li Changxing is such a monster that even I, a retired Special Forces soldier, don't dare to fight him. He's just a student, yet he thinks too highly of himself. The surrounding members of the various sports teams were discussing in low voices, thinking, where did this hero come from? How dare he provoke our demon instructor? Li Changxing's deeds had been known by all the sports team members. The demon coach was the nickname that they gave him. At this time, the bald old man sitting in the classroom, Ji Lin's dad, came over and said to Li Changxing, I'm sorry, my son has been spoiled since he was young. You don't have to go to the sports field tomorrow. I will teach him a lesson so that he won't bully honest students. He had never met Li Changxing, so he only treated Li Changxing as an honest kid. Li Changxing smiled. No, I like to be bullied. What do you mean? Ji Lin's dad was stunned, but he saw that Li Changxing had already walked to the teachers' seats. Wang Jian chuckled and said, Professor Ji, he is the young coach of the martial arts team. What? Ji Lin's boss almost fell to the ground. He asked with a bit of shock in his eyes. He is the coach who defeated the boxing champion not long ago. Chapter 186. Coach Li, that Ji Lin dared to offend you. How do you plan to deal with him tomorrow? A teacher from the sports team asked with a smile. Li Changxing was not only the coach of the combat team, he was also a freshman. This was no longer a secret. Most of the people training in the gymnasium knew of his other identity. Coach Li, you have to go easy on him. That Ji Lin may be tall, but with your skills, you can beat him to a pulp with one punch. These PE teachers in the gymnasium worshipped Li Changxing very much. Not far away, Ji Lin's father, the specially hired professor of the school, quietly pricked up his ears to listen. His forehead was already covered in sweat. He naturally knew what kind of character his son had, but it seemed that he had really kicked an iron plate this time. Just now, he had secretly asked a few teachers about Li Changxing. The more he learned about Li Changxing's deeds, the more frightened he became. And this guy seemed to have an unusual relationship with Principal Chunligua. What should I do? He only had one precious son. If he was crippled, then he could only cry. Following the arrival of Principal Chunligua, the combat team's assessment officially began. First, it was a strength test. Then, the combat coaches from the school would fight with Wang Dongsheng and the others. In the end, these usually arrogant coaches were beaten to a pulp by Wang Dongsheng and the other 2 students. By the time the whole process was completed, it was already past 7 o'clock. When Li Changxing came out of the gymnasium, he was blocked by a group of people. He raised his head and saw Ji Lin and his gang of bad friends. Didn't you say we would meet at the field tomorrow? Why can't you wait to fight now? Li Changxing's lips curled into a playful smile. Kicking them out of the classroom in the morning was just an idea he came up with on the spur of the moment. He couldn't stand their arrogance and despotism. However, he didn't hate them so much. He just saw them as a little fun in life. However, if they continued to pester him, he didn't mind teaching them a lesson to teach them a lesson. I'm afraid that you won't dare to come to the field tomorrow. As he spoke, Ji Lin extended his hand towards Li Changsheng. Give me your student ID. Come to the field tomorrow to collect it. I didn't bring my student ID. Is my coach ID okay? Li Changsheng smiled and took out a document from his pocket. What coach certificate? Ji Lin and the others did not react in time. But when they took the ID from Li Changsheng and saw the words Combat Team Coach, their hands trembled and they almost dropped the ID. You must have made a fake certificate to deceive us. Ji Lin let out a cold laugh. What a joke. Isn't this guy just a freshman? How could he be the coach of a combat team? Whether I'm lying to you or not, you'll know if you ask around. Li Changsheng snatched the document from Ji Lin's hands, then walked forward. None of the people behind Ji Lin dared to stop him. They could only watch as Li Changsheng walked away. At this moment, Ji Lin's father had just walked out of the stadium. He was talking to a colleague. When he saw his son standing in the middle of the road with some people, he hurriedly said a few words to his colleague, then hurriedly walked over. Dad, Ji Lin was just about to say something when his father reached out and slapped him across the face. Slap! The sound was crisp and clear. Many people who were walking over stopped in their tracks and looked over in confusion. Ji Lin was even more dumbfounded. Why did you hit me? Ji Lin's face was filled with disbelief. His father had always doted on him. This was the first time in his life that he had hit him. Why did I hit you? Don't you know what you've done? With your skills, do you want to end our Ji family's bloodline? Ji Haiyang hurled a torrent of abuse at Ji Lin. Seeing that Ji Lin was still in a daze, he couldn't help but sigh. I'm afraid you don't even know who you've offended. That Li Changsheng isn't a good person. He's the coach of the fighting team. Some time ago, Vice Principal Shin Donghai found a boxing champion, but even that champion wasn't his match. His arm was broken by Li Changsheng. My Ji family only has you as a seedling. If something were to happen to you, what would I do? As Ji Haiyang's voice fell, Ji Lin was stunned on the spot. At the same time, a chill rose in his heart. To break a boxing champion's arm, this guy's fighting strength was actually so terrifying. Moreover, his backer was Principal Chenligua. No matter how he compared himself, he was no match for him. Now you know. Find him and apologize. You can't afford to offend this young man. Before returning to the dormitory, he received a call from Jiang Tao and the others, asking Li Changsheng to go to the internet cafe to find them. They said that they would go out for dinner tonight. Li Changsheng hung up the phone and went to the second floor of the internet cafe near the school. In a large private room, he saw Jiang Tao and the others playing LOL. Jiang Tao's girlfriend, Su Ying, was also there. When she saw Li Changsheng, she greeted him with a smile. Zhang Xiaofeng was telling the story of Li Changsheng in class. Therefore, when Li Changsheng sat down, Su Ying's first words were, I didn't know that you were such a bad person. Changsheng is a classic example of a quiet but passionate person. Jiang Tao laughed and said, he was in a good mood after winning the game. After a while, footsteps sounded again. Chen Wan, who was wearing heavy makeup, walked into the room. Chen Wan, who was originally full of smiles, had an ugly expression the moment she saw Li Changsheng. She always disliked Li Changsheng, but this time she didn't say anything bad. Last time in the Chuzhou city, she had suffered a lot because of Li Changsheng. Behind Chen Wan, Zhang Mingming and her boyfriend, Shang Jianping, were holding hands. Zhang Mingming looked at Li Changsheng with a complicated expression. Shang Jianping, on the other hand, was smiling coldly. Li Changsheng had won a lot of money from him last time, and it would be a lie to say that he wasn't angry. Don't act like we are enemies. We are friends, and I invited you here to resolve the grudge between us. Su Ying said to ease the tension. Because of the trip to the Chuzhou city, Jiang Tao's enthusiasm for her had plummeted. Su Ying learned from the painful experience and knew that the root of the problem was Li Changsheng. Therefore, she wanted to use Li Changsheng to change Jiang Tao's mind. After hearing that Su Ying wanted to resolve the grudge between Li Changsheng, Chen Wan, and Zhang Mingming, Jiang Tao's attitude improved a lot. This gave Su Ying hope. Is it your idea to resolve the grudge? Chen Wan looked at Li Changsheng. Tonight, you have to treat me. Hearing Chen Wan's words, Li Changsheng nodded and said, Sure, you can pick the place. Barbecue or hot pot is fine. Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Chen Wan curled her lips. The last time Shang Jianping treated them to dinner, it was at the Haoxiang Hotel. This Li Changsheng actually wanted to use a few $100s for a meal to send them away. Sure enough, a poor boy was a poor boy. Zhang Mingming choosing Shang Jianping seemed like a wise decision. Let me treat you, Shang Jianping said lightly. The barbecue outside is not clean. Chapter 187. It doesn't matter who is paying. It's just a meal. Shang Jianping will pay. He can afford to lose 400,000, so he doesn't care about this meal. Jiang Tao pretended to be casual. He didn't like Shang Jianping either. He brought up the incident where Shang Jianping lost a bet to Li Changsheng in Chuzhou City. Sure enough, Shang Jianping's face darkened. The banquet hall was luxurious with a large number of glass mirrors and a huge crystal chandelier hanging above their heads. Shang Jianping seemed to have the intention to show off his wealth. He booked a private room in the Haoxiang Hotel. Even Jiang Tao, a second-generation rich kid, was amazed. The cost of such a hotel was definitely not cheap. Li Changsheng sat near the door. Shang Jianping and Zhang Mingming sat next to each other. Su Ying and Jiang Tao were a couple. Shang Xuqin and Zhang Xiaofeng were a couple. Only Yang Fan, Li Changsheng, and Chen Wan were single. Everyone thought that Chen Wan would sit with either Li Changsheng or Yang Fan, but instead, she sat next to Zhang Mingming and Shang Jianping. She was willing to be the third wheel between the two of them. She didn't want to sit with Li Changsheng or Yang Fan. Chen Wan had already made her stand clear. The room was semi-enclosed, so people could see the situation outside. Bring out your signature dishes and a bottle of Flying Maodai. Don't be too expensive, just around 10,000 a bottle will do. Shang Jianping ordered the dishes casually, especially when he was ordering the wine. He glanced at Li Changsheng's seat. He knew what happened between Zhang Mingming and Li Changsheng. Although they didn't become a couple, it was still a thorn in his heart. Last time, Li Changsheng stole his limelight in Chuzhou City. This time, he wanted to show Li Changsheng the difference between them. Zhang Mingming lowered her head and remained silent. Only Chen Wan had a cold smile on her face. The reason why Zhang Mingming chose Shang Jianping over Li Changsheng was because she and Hao Ting played a big role in adding fuel to the fire. Only if Shang Jianping was better than Li Changsheng in all aspects and was more outstanding than Li Changsheng could they prove that their lobbying was correct. I heard that Qingzhou University is holding a fellowship party, and it's also in this hotel. The people invited are all influential people in the school. They're either top students or people with powerful families. A few of my friends are also studying at Qingzhou University. They should also be in this hotel today. After the wine was served, Shang Jianping filled everyone's cup, even Li Changsheng's. Although he hated Li Changsheng so much that his teeth itched, he could still show some poise. After all, he was trained to be the successor of the family, so he still had some shrewdness. I heard about it too. It was organized by a few people from the student council. Jiang Tao smiled. But I'm not familiar with the people from the student council, so no one invited me. Jiang Tao was a rich second generation. On the first day, he drove a BMW to school, which also caused a sensation. He could be considered as an influential person. However, he was a freshman and didn't have time to develop his connections. It was normal for such a gathering to not invite him. It was just that Shang Jianping brought it up at this time to show his connections and also to suppress Jiang Tao. After all, Shang Jianping knew that Jiang Tao's relationship with Li Changsheng was much stronger than his. I heard that the fellowship party is held in the Emperor Hall of this hotel. The lowest cost in the Emperor Hall is 100,000 yuan. 100,000 yuan for me is already 3 months of living expenses. Shang Jianping pretended to sigh casually. 100,000 yuan was the income of an ordinary family for 2 years, but for a rich family like him, it was just pocket money. Zhang Mingming glanced at Li Changsheng, who was sitting there. His cheap clothes probably didn't even add up to 500 yuan. Thinking about how Li Changsheng worked at the KTV bar, and then looking at Shang Jianping, the difference between the two was obvious. Isn't it just 100,000 yuan for the Emperor Hall? Since everyone is so curious about the fellowship party, why don't we move to the hall next to them and eat? Hearing Li Changsheng's suggestion, Zhang Xiaofeng said, "It's good to eat at the Emperor Hall, but I heard that the Emperor Hall here has to be booked in advance. I'm afraid that it's not possible for us to change to the Emperor Hall." That's right. Even if the manager gives us the Emperor Hall, don't forget that the lowest cost is 100,000 yuan. Saying that, Chunwan rolled her eyes at Li Changsheng. Some people think that other people's money grows on trees. Don't they feel guilty for being so extravagant and wasteful? Chunwan thought that Li Changsheng wanted Shang Jianping to pay for the room. She couldn't help but look at him with disdain. Shang Jianping didn't say anything. Last time, he lost 400,000 yuan to Li Changsheng in Chuzhou City. Recently, he was a bit short on funds. Today, he borrowed some money from a good friend. Although his family was rich, it wasn't to the point where he could squander money as he pleased. "It's okay, wait a second." Li Changsheng stood up with a smile. He walked out and waved at the lobby manager. "Hello, how can I help you?" The lobby manager said with a professional smile. "Can you help us change to the Emperor Hall?" The lobby manager's face showed that he was in a difficult position. "Our Emperor Hall has to be booked in advance. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid we can't change it for you. I'm a friend of your boss. Can you give your second master a call?" Haoxiang Hotel was the property of the Chu family. The second master of the Chu family, Chu Xing, was in charge of the Chu family. Li Changxing knew that Chu Xing's name would be useful. Sure enough, after hearing Li Changxing's words, the lobby manager didn't dare to delay. He immediately made a call. After hanging up the phone, the lobby manager's attitude was completely different. If it was a professional smile just now, then it was completely sincere respect now. The second master's reaction after hearing Li Changxing's name just now made him attach more importance to Li Changxing than ever before. "I'll change the room for you right away." The lobby manager nodded and bowed as he said, "How much?" "I'll pay by card." Li Changxing asked. No. The lobby manager hurriedly waved his hand. "The second master said that it's his honor to eat in our hotel. No matter how much you spend today, our hotel will be free of charge." The lobby manager knew that the second master was usually quite stingy. Although the lowest consumption in the Emperor Hall was 100,000 yuan, the real consumption was probably more than 300,000 to 400,000 yuan. Chu Xing could spend so much money to curry favor with one person. One could imagine how important he was. Li Changxing nodded. He didn't insist on paying. If one were to trace the origin of the Chu family, it would be because of Chu Yaotian that the Chu family was what it was today. Back in the room, seeing Li Changxing come in, Chunwan curled her lips and said, "How was it? Did you hit a snag? Were you shocked by the high price of the Emperor Hall?" Li Changsheng didn't bother to answer her. Instead, he said to Jiang Tao and Zhang Xiaofeng, "Let's eat somewhere else. The Emperor Hall is ready." "What?" Everyone in the room was stunned. "How did you get the Emperor Hall? Didn't you say that you have to book the Emperor Hall in advance? Also, you have to pay a deposit of at least 100,000 yuan. Where did you get the money?" Chen Wan asked in disbelief. "The Emperor Hall happened to be empty, so I booked it. As for the money, didn't I win 400,000 yuan in Chuzhou City?" When these words came out, Shang Jianping almost spat out a mouthful of tea. His heart was bleeding. Li Changsheng actually used his money to reserve an imperial hall and treat everyone to a meal. This made him feel sullen. Chapter 188. A few waiters came up and moved the drinks on the table to the Emperor Hall on the 3rd floor. From the beginning to the end, Shang Jianping's face was dark. On the other hand, Jiang Tao's face was full of joy. If it weren't for the presence of Shang Jianping and the others, he couldn't help but give Li Changsheng a thumbs up. This turnaround battle was beautiful. using Shang Jianping's money to treat everyone to a meal, but everyone still had to accept Li Chongqing's favor. On the same third floor, in another emperor hall, a group of influential people of Qingzhou University were talking and laughing. Their banquet had just begun, and those who could join were the elites of Qingzhou University. Of course, this elite referred to personal ability and family background. Looking at a person's strength, it would always be his comprehensive ability. Smart people wouldn't separate a person's talent from his family background. The organizer of this banquet was a young man in his third year. His name was Zheng Long. Although his name was tacky, his identity was not simple. He was the president of Qingzhou University's student union. It could be said that he had real power in his hands. Only with his position and power could he gather so many influential people of Qingzhou University. I heard that someone has booked the Emperor Hall next to us, and it's a few students of Qingzhou University. Zheng Long frowned and asked the person next to him. I just found out. It said that it's a few freshmen. One of them is called Jiang Tao, a rich second generation. He drove a BMW to school on the first day of school. However, it said that the one who spent the money was not him, but a young man. I haven't heard of this person. The one who spoke was a gentleman wearing glasses. His name was Lu Yu, Zheng Long's assistant in the student union. He was responsible for organizing this party. What do you mean? Hearing that our student union is holding a party here, he also booked the Emperor Hall and ate next to us. Does this mean that he wants to compete with us? Situ, Nin interrupted. As one of the 4 young masters of the school, such a party naturally couldn't miss him. Not to mention, he was also one of the directors of the student union. How about this? I'll tell them to change to a place further away from our room. These freshmen also want to show off, but they don't know the rules. Zheng Long thought about it and finally waved his hand. Forget it. If I ask them to move, it will seem like our student union is overbearing and it won't be good for our reputation. Anyway, they don't have much influence on our sorority. Li Chongqing did not know that because the Emperor Hall they had changed to was right next to the fellowship party, it had almost caused a conflict. At this moment, he felt very comfortable sitting in the main hall of the Imperial Hall. The Imperial Hall was very big and could easily accommodate 40 to 50 people. Li Chongqing and the others sat down and seemed a little empty. However, spending money to eat at a high-end place was a form of grandeur and also a kind of mood. Seeing Shang Jianping's dark face and his bad mood, Li Chongqing immediately felt much better. Li Chongqing took a sip of tea to moisten his throat. He turned on his phone and saw several unread messages. There was a message from Yu Wei saying that because the third year of high school was getting more and more difficult, time was getting more and more tight. She was afraid that she would not have time to find Li Chongqing and hoped that Li Chongqing would take care of his body. After reading the message, Li Chongqing smiled. Yu Wei, a woman who was as gentle as water, could always arouse his desire to protect her. There was also a message from Wu Shaowan. The general meaning was that Li Chongqing had taken advantage of her, and he had not thought about how to take responsibility for her. Li Chongqing felt a headache coming on. There was also a message from Chu Meng, which was less than a minute old. I heard that you're eating in my family's hotel and changed to the Emperor Hall. This lady is rushing to the Emperor Hall. Come out and welcome me. Li Chongqing did not expect Chu Meng to come. He said goodbye to Jiang Tao and the others. Just as he arrived at the elevator, he saw the elevator door open and Chu Meng walked out. There were 2 other women with Chu Meng, but Chu Meng stood there and took away all the attention from them. She was wearing a short skirt and had light makeup on her face. Especially her hair, which was spread out, was pure and charming. She was tall and beautiful. A few Qingzhou University students who walked out of the banquet hall were surprised when they saw Chu Meng. Chu Meng was the prettiest girl in Qingzhou University. Even if they hadn't seen her in person, they'd seen her photos. Especially since she was the young miss of the Chu family. She was shrouded in a mysterious veil. Li Chongqing, I sent you a message for a full 5 minutes, and you still haven't come downstairs. This is making this lady very unhappy. Chu Meng pretended to be angry, but everyone could tell that she was joking. She said to the 2 women beside her, "You 2 go in first." Then, she stood together with Li Chongqing. It could be seen that Chu Ming did not come to the hotel to look for Li Changsheng. Thinking about the student union party that Ma Yi and the others were talking about, Li Changsheng suddenly understood. With Chu Ming's status in Qingzhou University, she was definitely an influential person among influential people. Moreover, with Chu Yaotian and Chun Ligua's relationship, it would be very easy for Chu Mingming to enter the student council. A few Qingzhou University students who also came to participate in the party couldn't help but look at Li Changsheng a few more times. They were thinking in their hearts. The relationship between Li Changsheng and Chu Ming was just ordinary friends, or the very intimate kind. Of course, the words boyfriend and girlfriend didn't appear in their minds at all. Li Changsheng stood there, and there was still a big gap between Li Changsheng and Chu Ming. Whether it was appearance or temperament, Li Changsheng was inferior by more than a level. Feeling the disdain of the few male companions beside him, Li Changsheng couldn't help but feel that it was funny. It seemed that this young miss of the Chu family had a lot of secret admirers. I just happened to be with second uncle at that time. I heard that you changed to Emperor Hall. Are you also going to have a party? Indeed, Emperor Hall was so big. Other than those kinds of parties with many people, normal people wouldn't choose to eat in Emperor Hall. I just came out with a few friends to sit around. Is that so? It's my honor to be your friend, Mr. Li. I must go take a look. I'm sure there will be beauties. Chu Ming glanced at the Emperor Hall, where Li Changsheng and the others were at. Because of the angle, she couldn't see clearly who was inside. At this time, people came up the elevator one after another. After seeing Chu Ming and Li Changsheng, they couldn't help but look at Li Changsheng a few more times. A few friends are waiting for me. I'll go in first, Chu Ming said. Li Changsheng nodded. Just as Chu Ming was about to turn around, the elevator doors opened and a woman walked out. Li Changsheng was stunned. This was because the person who had appeared was none other than Wang Lu, Ludwig's friend. Last time at the bar, Li Changsheng had made a bet with Bai Qinxue. He didn't expect to meet her here. When Wang Lu saw Li Changsheng, she was also stunned. However, she didn't say anything. She only turned her head to the side and strode into the banquet hall. Clearly, she still hadn't let go of the grudge between her and Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng returned to his room, while Chu Ming and Wang Lu entered the banquet hall one after the other. During this time, Chu Ming was sizing up Wang Lu. Although Wang Lu and Li Changsheng hadn't spoken, her sharp intuition told her that the two weren't as simple as they seemed. Could it be that Li Changsheng and this student council president's girlfriend have some kind of story? Chapter 189. When Li Changsheng returned to the private room, the dishes had been served one after another. Originally, Su Ying was the one who led the meal to let Li Changsheng and Shang Jianping resolve their grudges. However, it seemed that the effect did not meet the expectations, and instead, the hostility between the two grew. However, for Su Ying, at least her boyfriend Jiang Tao's attitude towards her was much better. Ever since Chen Wan entered the Imperial Hall, she no longer mocked and ridiculed Li Changsheng. After all, today's meal was Li Changsheng's treat. Whether it was Li Changsheng's own money or the money he won from Shang Jianping, it was all taken out from Li Changsheng's pocket. As the saying goes, those who receive benefits have a soft mouth. Jiang Tao probably felt proud and elated. During the meal, he drank a glass of white wine in one gulp. However, because he drank it too fiercely, he choked his nose and made tears flow. However, because of this, the originally oppressive atmosphere was somewhat relieved. There's a friend at the sorority next door. I'll go over and say hello. Li Changsheng thought that Chu Ming and Ma Yi were there. Seeing that the meal was almost finished, he planned to go over and say hello before leaving. Boyfriend or girlfriend? Jiang Tao asked with a smile. Everyone present had a deep understanding of Li Changsheng's ability to pick up girls. Shang Jianping said that he has a friend at the sorority, and you also said that you have a friend there. You wouldn't deliberately make it up to suppress Shang Jianping, right? Chen couldn't help but speak sarcastically. She really didn't believe that Li Changsheng could make friends with any influential people. Chen, how can you say that? Jiang Tao was a little unhappy. It's true, Chen muttered. Shang Giant Pain smiled slightly. It just so happens that I also plan to say hello to a friend. Do you want to go together? As soon as his voice fell, he heard a voice from the door. Yo, isn't this Changsheng? Turning his head, he saw Ma-Yi just passing by and saw Li Changsheng. He walked in with a face full of surprise. No wonder you rejected my invitation to the sorority of the student union. It turns out that you are here to see beauties. Ma-Yi's gaze swept across the faces of the girls present without leaving a trace. Whether it was Zhang Mingming, Chen Wan, or Su Ying, they were all beautiful. Ma-Yi's words made Chen Wan's expression turn ugly. She had just said that Li Changxing's friend in the student union was a lie. She was slapped in the face so quickly. Shang Giant Pain's smile was also a little stiff. Just now, when he said that he would bring Li Changsheng to the fellowship party with him, he wanted to expose Li Changsheng in person. Jiang Tao was more perceptive. He immediately picked up a wine cup and smiled. My name is Jiang Tao. I'm Changsheng's brother. You're the guy who drove a BMW to school on the first day of school, right? I've heard a lot about you. Ma-Yi laughed out loud. He noticed that when Jiang Tao introduced him, he said Li Changxing's brother instead of roommate. With Ma-Yi's intelligence, how could he not understand the meaning behind this? I remember now. Weren't you the one who fought in the canteen yesterday? Zhang Xiaofeng's girlfriend, Shang Shuqin, suddenly said. A lot of people are talking about you. You're one of the most influential people among us freshmen. With Shang Shuqin's words, everyone present had a rough understanding of Ma-Yi. That Ji Lin relied on his bad friends to jump around all day. I've long disliked him. If it weren't for the fact that there were more of them that day, I would have definitely taught him a lesson. Speaking of the fight in the canteen that day, Ma-Yi did not avoid it. Instead, he felt that it was a glorious deed. However, Changsheng helped me get revenge. Did you know that it was Li Changsheng who made Ji Lin get out of the classroom obediently? What exactly happened? Ma-Yi's words aroused everyone's interest. Although Jiang Tao had already heard Zhang Xiaofeng's story once, he still laughed out loud. Zhang Xiaofeng and Shang Shuqin were also eyewitnesses. They added oil and vinegar to the story. For a moment, even Wei Chun Wan looked at Li Changxing changed. However, no one noticed the sneer on Shang Giant Pain's mouth. What they didn't know was that the idiot Ji Lin mentioned by Ma-Yi was one of Shang Giant Pain's friends at Qingzhou University. After chatting with Li Changsheng for a while, Ma-Yi got up and said goodbye. At this time, Shang Giant Pain also stood up and said to Zhang Mingming, let's go. Accompany me to the party to meet some friends. Zhang Mingming nodded obediently. When leaving the room, Shang Giant Pain glanced at Li Changsheng, causing Li Changsheng to frown. There was clearly a bit of coldness in that gaze. I'm also going to meet some friends. Li Changxing got up. You have friends? I didn't expect Changsheng to know so many people. Jiang Tao was a bit surprised. I just happened to meet them outside. Li Changsheng smiled. Why don't we all go and meet the influential people of Qingzhou University? It just so happens that I have a few friends who are also here to participate in the party. Shang Giant Pain and Zhang Mingming had already gone. After Li Changxing left, there weren't many people left in the room. Jiang Tao suggested. Okay. Chen Wan was the first to agree. She was very curious about what kind of friends Li Changxing could have. As a result, everyone in the room rushed to the banquet hall next door. Next door was also the Emperor Hall, but it was more than 10 times bigger than the hall where Li Changxing and the others were eating. Li Changxing's hall was specially used for small gatherings, while the hall where the student union's party was located was specially used for large gatherings. The entrance of Li Changsheng and the others didn't attract much attention. There were many people who came to participate in this party. They came and went, and they didn't know each other. At this time, Shang Giant Pain, who went in first, quickly found Ji Lin sitting in the corner with Zhang Mingming, talking and laughing with a few friends. Ji Lin was also an influential person in Qingzhou University, so he was naturally invited to this party. However, what annoyed him was that Ma-Yi, his sworn enemy, was also there. The two of them didn't like each other, but because they both worked in the student union and had many common friends, they tacitly arranged for Ma-Yi to be on the west side of the room, while he was on the east side of the room. They didn't interfere with each other's business. Why are you hiding here? You made me look for you. Shang Jianping and Zhang Mingming sat down next to Jilin. After seeing Shang Jianping, Jilin called out Brother Shang. Shang Jianping was older than him, and the two of them had known each other for a long time. It's great that you're here. Come and have a drink with me. I met a sworn enemy at the party today, and it made me feel bad. Jilin poured a glass of wine for Shang Jianping, but Shang Jianping waved his hand and refused. Don't be in a hurry to drink. I know why you're troubled. How about this? Do you want to vent the evil fire in your heart? What do you mean? Jilin was puzzled. There's a guy who offended you, and he happened to come to this party today. Don't you want to vent your anger? Offended me? Jilin rubbed his head. Because he usually liked to dance, he had a lot of enemies. He didn't think of Li Changsheng for a while. Let's go. I'll bring you over and you'll know. Shang Jianping pulled Jilin and walked to the door. After learning about the grudge between Li Changsheng and Jilin, Shang Jianping had a plan in his mind. Chapter 190. What do you want to do? Zhang Mingming whispered to Shang Jianping. Teach that kid a lesson. Let's see if he can still be so cocky. Shang Jianping said coldly. You should know about Li Changsheng's fighting strength. Your friend is just sending him to his death. Zhang Mingming and the others had seen Li Changsheng's strength. Although she also wanted to teach Li Changsheng a lesson, she knew that it was unrealistic to rely on strength to suppress Li Changsheng. Among the young people, she had never seen anyone stronger than Li Changsheng. Of course, we can't expect Jilin to use his fist to deal with him. Jilin's father is a special professor of Qingzhou University, and Li Changsheng is a student of Qingzhou University. As long as he provokes Jilin, he will definitely suffer. Moreover, I have a few friends in today's fellowship party. They are all influential figures in Qingzhou University and have a lot of power. Let them deal with Li Changsheng together. We don't need to do anything. We just need to embarrass him. Shang Jianping took out his phone and sent a few WeChat messages. Then, he pulled Jilin to search for Li Changsheng's position in the crowd. After Jiang Tao and Li Changsheng came in together, they quickly found a few of his friends. They were all rich second-generation heirs. Jiang Tao introduced Li Changsheng and the others to his rich second-generation heirs. They just smiled perfunctorily and shook hands with Li Changsheng and Zhang Xiaofeng. Then, they started to talk about other topics with Jiang Tao. However, they paid more attention to the beauty Chenwan. It was obvious that Li Changsheng and Zhang Xiaofeng's status was not enough to attract their attention. Jiang Tao seemed to have known that it would be like this. He gave an apologetic smile to Li Changsheng and Zhang Xiaofeng. Zhang Xiaofeng did not speak. He obviously felt inferior in this kind of fellowship party. As for Li Changsheng, he just smiled and did not care. At this time, a few tall men suddenly walked over. Jiang Tao was still puzzled as he didn't know these people. The other party had already approached, but he pushed Zhang Xiaofeng, who was blocking the way, aside and looked down at Li Changsheng. Kid, your name is Li Changsheng, right? We'll let you in. This is a fellowship party organized by our student union, so it's best if you leave as soon as possible. The other party purposely spoke in a loud voice. All of a sudden, many gazes were drawn over. I'm here to say hello to a friend. I'll leave after that. Li Changsheng didn't want to be a busybody and explained. Friends? Which one is your friend? Look at you. You're dressed so shabbily. Are you here to freeload off me? As soon as these words came out, Jiang Tao couldn't take it anymore and said loudly, How can you speak nonsense? The other party coldly glanced at Jiang Tao and disdainfully said, And who are you? I'm the one in charge of the statistics for the sorority this time. I don't remember your name being on the list of people invited by the student union. You. Jiang Tao choked on his words and couldn't say anything. Indeed, although he was an influential figure in his freshman year and had many friends in this field, he wasn't invited. Unrelated people, please leave immediately. Otherwise, I'll call security. The other party sneered. Originally, there was no rule that said you couldn't come in without an invitation, but they were from the student union, which was equivalent to making the rules. What do you mean? Jiang Tao is my friend. He came to find us. Originally, Those rich second generations didn't care about driving Li Chongqing out, but Jiang Tao was their friend. Since the other party wanted to drive Jiang Tao out, someone suddenly stood up. They weren't invited by our student union, but they had to shamelessly come in. What's wrong with me driving them out? Although he was much more polite to those rich second generations, he didn't change his decision. In the distance, several leaders of the student union also saw the situation here. Assistant Liu Yu came over. What's going on? Why is there such a ruckus at a good fellowship party? Liu Yu was considered a small leader in the student union, especially when he was Zheng Long's assistant. It was equivalent to being close to the emperor, so his words still carried a lot of weight. These people came to the party without our invitation. I just asked them to leave, a tall man explained. Zhang Xiaofeng, who was next to him, explained, we just happened to be eating in the Imperial Hall next door. We knew that there were friends attending the party, so we came to take a look. We're from the same school. Even if your student union didn't invite us to the party, we shouldn't be driven out, right? Zhang Xiaofeng said it with grievance, but Liu Yu's face didn't look good. So you're the students who booked the hall next door. He had already preconceived that Li Chongsheng and the others booked the Imperial Hall next door to show off. At that moment, he didn't have a good impression of Li Chongsheng and the others. He sneered and said, you weren't invited, so this party isn't a place you should come to. Hurry up and leave. If you get kicked out by the security, it won't look good. He originally thought that Liu Yu was a reasonable person, but he didn't expect him to say such words. Even if he didn't call for security, leaving with his tail between his legs would still be embarrassing. The tall men on the other side were already looking smug. Not far away, Shang Jianpain also had a smile on his face. He said to Ji Lin beside him, how about it? Kicking them out can be considered to have won back some face for you, right? I believe the news will spread tomorrow. He made you leave with your tail between your legs in class, and you made him leave the banquet hall with his tail between his legs. Your brother Shang is very kind to you, right? Unexpectedly, Ji Lin didn't seem to listen to Shang Jianpain at all. Instead, he stared at Li Chongsheng's position. When he saw that Li Chongsheng and the others were about to be kicked out of the hall, he suddenly strode towards Li Chongsheng. Hey, Ji Lin, where are you going? Shang Jianpain called out to Ji Lin, but the other party didn't seem to hear him. Don't tell me he wants to fight with Li Chongsheng? Zhang Mingming was a little anxious. Shang Jianpain smiled. It's fine. It's best if he fights. If Li Chongsheng dares to beat him up, then he won't be able to stay in the university anymore. Seeing Shang Jianpain's sinister expression, Zhang Mingming suddenly felt a chill in her heart. It seemed that this was his true face. Sinister, scheming, and shrewd. At this moment, Ji Lin had already strode over. When the tall men saw Ji Lin, their faces were also stunned. They hurriedly went up to stop Ji Lin and said in a low voice, Ji Lin, don't be rash. We've already heard from Shang Jianpain that you have a grudge against him. However, this is a student union party. You mustn't fight. Otherwise, you'll offend a lot of people. Who would have thought that Ji Lin would push him aside and take large strides towards Li Chongsheng? Ji Lin, what are you doing? Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin had also noticed the situation here. Seeing Ji Lin aggressively walking towards Li Chongsheng, they hurriedly walked over. The conflict here had also attracted Zheng Long's attention. When Zheng Long heard that Li Chongsheng had pretended to be a teacher in class and kicked Ji Lin out of the classroom, he shook his head with a smile and said, it seems that today's conflict is unavoidable. With this brat Ji Lin's temper, this guy named Li Chongsheng is going to be in for a bad time. Don't block him. Let him come over. Li Chongsheng said to Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin, who were standing in front of him. Because Zhao Qinggan had a problem with Li Chongsheng, he didn't step forward at all. He rather hoped that Ji Lin would be able to take care of Li Chongsheng. When Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin heard Li Chongsheng's words, they were somewhat hesitant. However, Ji Lin had already walked past the two of them and stood in front of Li Chongsheng. Just when everyone thought that a conflict was about to erupt, Ji Lin loudly said, Li Chongsheng is my friend. I won't allow you to kick him out. As his voice fell, everyone present was dumbfounded. What's going on? Chapter 191. Li Chongsheng is my friend. Whoever dares to kick him out. Jilin's words stunned everyone present, especially Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin. They were even more confused. Lu Yu's face was a little troubled. Jilin's identity was very unusual. His father was a specially appointed professor at Qingzhou University. He had a lot of connections in the school, and was someone Lu Yu definitely didn't dare to offend. The few tall guys who had heard Shang Jianping's words and wanted to help Jilin vent his anger were now a little confused by Jilin's behavior. Jilin, don't you have a grudge against him? The tall guy who had tried to stop Jilin just now asked doubtfully. Who said that? I was just joking with Li Changsheng. It's all a misunderstanding. Hearing Jilin's words, the people who originally wanted to help him fell silent. Even the main character had said so. If they continued to cause trouble for Li Changsheng, then that would be like a dog trying to catch a mouse, meddling in other people's business. How could this be? On the other side, Shang Jianping frowned. It was originally a meticulous plan, but now there was a suspicion of kissing ass and hitting the horse's hoof. Lu Yu was still hesitating. If he had known that the other party was Jilin's friend, he definitely wouldn't have made things difficult for Li Changsheng and the others. But now that he had said it, if he took it back now, it would be a little embarrassing. According to the rules of the student union, they can't come to the banquet without an invitation. Lu Yu wanted to test Jilin's attitude again. If Jilin was still determined to let Li Changsheng stay, then he would go with the flow. However, before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Jilin. Surnamed Lu, when did the student union have this bullsh *T rule? How come I didn't know? He's my friend. If you chase him away, then you're going against me, Jilin. When these words came out, his attitude was very firm. Lu Yu's face was a little awkward, but he still laughed and said, I was just joking. How could the student union have this kind of rule? We're all from the same school. Of course we welcome you guys to the fellowship party. Lu Yu's words made everyone's eyes pop out. Wasn't the change in tone a little too fast? All right, everyone, go do what you need to do. Don't crowd around here. Lu Yu waved his hand and then walked towards Zheng Long in a sorry state. Seeing that there was no more drama to watch, the others also left one after another. Brotherly, it's my friends. They were too reckless. Jilin smiled apologetically at Li Changsheng. He knew that these tall men were standing up for him, but he didn't dare to offend Li Changsheng. It's fine. It's fine as long as the misunderstanding is resolved. Li Changsheng smiled. He knew in his heart that Jilin's father must have told Jilin about his identity. Otherwise, how could this arrogant, rich second generation be so kind as to speak up for him? The fight on the sports field is also a farce. Let's not take it seriously. Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Jilin let out a long sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. This sentence showed that Li Changsheng was no longer willing to argue with him, and the big stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. Shang Jianping's face was full of doubts, but he couldn't show his face. Otherwise, his identity as the mastermind behind the scenes would be exposed. What's going on with this Jilin? Shang Jianping angrily downed the red wine in his glass in one gulp. He felt like he was suffocating in his heart. He had fought with Li Changsheng several times, and it seemed like he had never won a single time. Brotherly, you stay here and chat. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Jilin smiled at Li Changsheng, then turned around and walked towards the banquet's entrance. The presence of his archenemy Ma Yi was enough for him to worry. Now that Li Changsheng had appeared, he felt even more depressed, so he found an excuse to leave early. After Jilin left, those rich second-generation friends of Jiang, Tao, had to reevaluate Li Changsheng. Changsheng, so you know Jilin. You're really not simple. What kind of business does your family do? Even if these people were stupid, they could see that Jilin was respectful to Li Changsheng. In an instant, Li Changsheng's image in their hearts soared. Although they were also rich second generation, their status in the university circle was not as high as Li Changsheng's. Especially Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin, who were also on Li Changsheng's side. They were all influential figures in Qingzhou University. Li Changsheng actually knew them, which in itself made them think highly of him. My parents are both dead. I'm not in business. Li Changsheng lightly replied. He didn't have a good impression of these rich second generation. Let's go and sit over there. Mai took the initiative to invite Li Changsheng, but his heart was also full of doubts. Chenwan stood there, lost in thought. Today's scene made her ponder. Was Li Changsheng really as ordinary as he appeared to be? If that was the case, how did he get to know so many friends with such extraordinary identities? Jiang Tao and several rich second-generation friends also walked to the sofa and sat down. Soon, a waiter came up and served drinks. Because of what happened just now, everyone had to reconsider Li Changsheng's identity. Even Chen Wan, who had been keen on mocking Li Changsheng, obediently shut her mouth. Jiang Tao, so you're here. I heard that there was some unpleasantness just now. I happened to be over there and didn't know. That Lu Yu was a bit too much. A voice came. Everyone looked up and saw a tall boy in a suit. He had one hand in his pocket and the other holding a glass of red wine. After seeing the boy, Jiang Tao, including the rich second generation next to him, all stood up. Ma Yi and the others also immediately stood up. Brother Meng, you're so busy every day. How could I dare to disturb you? Jiang Tao chuckled. Seeing Ma Yi, Jiang Tao and the others all stood up. Zhang Xiaofeng and the others also didn't want to sit down. This made Li Changsheng stand out. He was the only one who was still sitting there. Tao, with our relationship, there's no need to be polite. These are your friends, right? Sit down. This is my friend Meng Zikuan, young Master Meng. Jiang Tao introduced the young man to everyone. Hearing the three words, Meng Zikan, even Zhang Xiaofeng's face was a little moved. Hello, young Master Meng. I've heard a lot about you. Ma Yi took the initiative to reach out and shake hands with Meng Zikuan. By the way, this is Li Changsheng. He's my roommate and brother. Jiang Tao took the initiative to introduce. Li Changsheng had to stand up. Hello, my name is Meng Zikuan. We're in the same school. If you encounter anything in the future, just mention my name. Meng Zikuan smiled slightly and was very amiable. However, Li Changsheng saw a trace of arrogance in his eyes. For such a person, his amiability was shown on the outside, but he was a very conceited person in his bones. After introducing Li Changsheng, Jiang Tao just gave a general introduction of other people's names. Meng Zikuan couldn't help but pay more attention to Li Changsheng. Only then did everyone sit down. Meng Zikuan sat next to Jiang Tao and talked cheerfully. The others could only listen in silence. He was young, but he had a very strong aura. Chapter 192. Tao. When we were young, we lived in the same courtyard and played together. Now that we've grown up, why are you so distant from me? I heard that someone almost kicked you out just now. You knew that I was here, so why didn't you call me? Meng Zikuan said with some reproach. A rich second generation next to him interjected. Jiang Tao, I didn't expect you to have such a good relationship with young Master Meng. Why didn't you introduce him to us? Jiang Tao smiled slightly and seemed a little reserved in front of Meng Zikuan. In fact, his relationship with Meng Zikuan was not really that good. It was just that when they were young, Meng Zikuan was 1 year older than him and had always been the king of the children in their courtyard. At best, he was just a slug following behind Meng Zikuan. Well, Tao, I still have a few friends to entertain. You guys talk first. With that, Meng Zikuan patted Jiang Tao's shoulder and turned to walk over there. When Meng Zikuan left, several people breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Meng Zikuan's aura was too strong. Jiang Tao, you actually know Meng Zikuan. You're really not simple. Yeah, if Meng Zikuan had come forward, how could Liu dare to kick you out? Several rich second generations spoke one after another. Jiang Tao just remained silent. Because of Meng Zikuan's appearance, Ma Yi and the others could not help but look at Jiang Tao in a higher light. I didn't expect Jiang Tao to know Meng Zikuan. He's one of the 4 young masters of Qingzhou University. Shang Shuqin and Zhang Xiaofeng were sitting not far from Li Changsheng. When the exclamation fell into Li Changsheng's ears, Li Changsheng suddenly understood. No wonder everyone didn't even dare to breathe loudly after seeing Meng Zikuan. It turns out that he's one of the 4 young masters of the university. After a while, Meng Zikuan waved his hand. After Jiang Tao saw him, he stood up and walked over. Tao, let me introduce you to a few friends. They're all influential people of Qingzhou University. Jiang Tao shook hands with them one by one. At this time, the rich second generation who was sitting next to Jiang Tao took the initiative to sit next to Li Changsheng and said, I heard that there's a beautiful teacher called Wu Xiaowan in your finance department. Do you want her contact information? Last time, I happened to meet her at a banquet, so I mustered up the courage to ask for her WeChat number. Unfortunately, my friend request has not been accepted. Li Changsheng was stunned. The other party continued, You're from the finance department, so you could be considered her student. If you had her on WeChat, she might agree. With Wu Xiaowan's taste and arrogance, the chances of getting her are close to 0. But it's okay. Looking at the goddess's circle of friends is also a happy thing. Li Changsheng nodded perfunctorily. He didn't want to discuss this topic anymore. However, the man seemed to be unsatisfied. He took the initiative to put his hand on Li Changsheng's shoulder and whispered, That Wu Xiaowan is really good. If I can get her, I'm willing to sacrifice my life. Tell me the truth. Do you think of her as a fantasy object? After saying that, he winked at Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng was not used to talking about this topic with strangers. Especially the other party's disgusting eyes, coupled with his previous behavior, made him feel a little disgusted. So, without leaving a trace, he removed the hand on his shoulder and moved to the side. The smile on the rich second generation's face suddenly became stiff, and he was a little embarrassed. He pulled the corner of his mouth, stood up embarrassedly, and walked back to where he was sitting. After sitting down, he muttered, Why are you pretending to be serious? His voice wasn't high, but it wasn't low either. It just happened that several people present heard it. Mai looked at Li Changsheng in confusion, not knowing what happened. Zhang Xiaofeng frowned. Not far away, Meng Zikuan just happened to witness this scene. Although on the surface, he didn't treat Li Changsheng differently. Since Jiang Tao finished the introduction, he secretly looked at Li Changsheng. In his view, Li Changsheng was a man of few words. He should be the kind of person with an ordinary family background, but his heart was more arrogant, which made him very disdainful. In Meng Zikuan's view, arrogance needed capital, and Li Changsheng's clothes made him unable to see any capital. Coupled with Li Changsheng's performance to the rich second generation, he added another comment to his already bad impression of Li Changsheng. You don't understand the ways of the world. Brother Meng, we haven't sat together for a long time. Let's go out and sit together some other day. Jiang Tao was innately afraid of Meng Zikuan. When he was a child, he was often bullied by Meng Zikuan. Although more than 10 years had passed, it seemed to have left a shadow. In front of Meng Zikuan, he always felt that he couldn't straighten his back. Tao Zi, your family background is good, but you are too kind. I'm not saying that kindness is bad, but this kind of character will make many people look down on you. Also, you have to be selective when making friends. Not to mention how much they can help your future career. At least they can't make you lose your value. In addition, Meng Zikuan glanced at Li Changsheng's direction. I don't like your roommate's character very much. Jiang Tao also glanced at Li Changsheng, who was sitting there, and shook his head. That's because you don't know him. If you know his deeds, maybe you will change your mind. No need. Meng Zikuan shook his head. Tao Zi, sometimes you are too emotional and lack the most rational judgment. Based on Li Changsheng's behavior just now, I can tell you that he is not worth making friends with. After that, he patted Jiang Tao's shoulder. Well, think about it yourself. Then, he picked up the wine glass and walked toward Zheng Long. Although Zheng Long wasn't one of the 4 young masters of the school, as the president of the student council, he definitely had a pivotal position in the entire Qingzhou University. After Li Changsheng came in, he didn't see Chu Meng's figure. He looked at his watch and saw that it was getting late, so he planned to go to the bathroom first. When he came back, he still couldn't find Chu Meng, so he left. He didn't know anyone here, so it was a bit boring. However, just as he left the sofa and walked a few steps, he saw an enchanting figure. It was Wang Lu. Obviously, Wang Lu also saw Li Changsheng. Both of their expressions were a bit strange. Wang Lu was Lu Duoduo's friend. Last time in the bar, she lost a bet to Li Changsheng. As a result, she was forced to pole dance and shouted, "I'm a snob. I have eyes but can't see." It could be said that she lost all face. After that, she was almost reduced to a laughing stock in the circle. Every time she saw her friends, she felt ridiculed and hated Li Changsheng more and more. At this time, seeing Li Changsheng, especially thinking that this was a party held by her boyfriend, she couldn't help but sneer. Chapter 193. After seeing the sneer on Wang Lu's face, Li Changxing knew that something was about to happen. Sure enough, he saw Wang Lu pick up 2 wine glasses filled with wine from the side, and then take the initiative to walk in front of Li Changxing. She smiled and said, "You are Lu Duoduo's friend, and I am also Lu Duoduo's friend. Regarding the incident at the bar last time, I think we should have a toast to let bygones be bygones. So, I propose a toast to you." With that, she handed the wine glass to Li Changsheng with her right hand. Wang Lu was Zheng Long's girlfriend. Seeing that she was going to toast with a strange man, many people cast doubtful gazes, including Ma, Yi, and the others. They were also puzzled. They thought, could it be that Li Changsheng knows the girlfriend of the student union president? Okay. Li Changsheng reached out to take the wine glass. However, the moment his hand was about to touch the wine glass, Wang Lu suddenly raised her other hand and splashed the blood-red wine at Li Changsheng's face. There was an uproar in the crowd. No one expected Wang Lu to suddenly make such a move. From a moment Wang Lu came over to propose a toast to him, Li Changsheng knew that this woman was up to no good. The moment the red wine in the glass spilled out, he moved his feet slightly to the side and dodged a millimeter. He dodged the red wine with a distance of 0.1 millimeter, and the red wine spilled on the ground without leaving a single drop. Wang Lu was a little stunned. She did not expect Li Changsheng to dodge it. Then, she raised the glass in her other hand and aimed it at Li Changsheng again. This time, Li Changsheng was 1 step ahead of her. He took off his coat and flung it forward. Immediately, the wine splashed over was blocked by the coat and bounced back, splashing all over Wang Lu's face. Her white dress was instantly soaked by the cold wine, and the black lace inside could be faintly seen. Wang Lu didn't expect Li Changxing's reaction to be so fast, especially when she felt the cold feeling of the wet shirt sticking to her skin. She couldn't help but shiver. She wiped the alcohol off her face and took a step forward. She reached out her hand to slap Li Changxing's face, but she didn't notice that the floor was slippery with alcohol. She twisted her ankle and cried out in surprise. With a bang, her body fell back onto the floor. Ma Yi, Zhang Xiaofeng, and the others all widened their eyes. Gasps of surprise were heard all around. Even those who didn't notice the situation turned their gazes over. For a moment, the entire hall became noisy. Li Changsheng stood in place and coldly looked at the battered and exhausted Wang Lu on the ground. The commotion quickly attracted many people over, including Wang Lu's boyfriend, Zheng Long. What happened? Zheng Long walked over and helped Wang Lu up. With a gloomy face, he wiped the water off Wang Lu's face with a tissue and looked at Li Changsheng with a cold gaze. "It's your girlfriend who accidentally fell down. It's not my fault." Li Changsheng spread out his hands and said, "Nonsense." Zheng Long snorted coldly. "How could my girlfriend fall down for no reason? It's obvious that you push her down." As he spoke, he looked at his assistant, Lu Yu, next to him. "Is he also a member of our student union? What kind of quality is he? Our student union must be stricter in recruiting members in the future." Lu Yu shook his head and whispered a few words in Zheng Long's ear. Zheng Long looked Li Changxing up and down, then pointed to the door outside and said coldly, "Our sorority doesn't welcome people like you. Now please get out." "Wait a minute." At this time, Jiang Tao came over. "Just now, it was obvious that your girlfriend wanted to splash water on Changsheng, but Changsheng dodged. Many people saw it. Even if you are the president of the student union, you have to be reasonable." Behind Jiang Tao, Meng Zikuan frowned and pulled Jiang Tao's arm. "Tao, don't mess around. Zheng Long will handle it." is his way of dealing with it indiscriminately and asking my friend to go out. Jiang Tao turned his head and said loudly. Meng Zikuan was a little stunned. Is this still the slug who was bullied by me since childhood and followed me behind? Would he dare to talk to me so loudly? Meng Zikuan was a little angry because of Jiang Tao's tone. He said in a deep voice, Tao, if you still regard me as your brother, shut up and don't talk anymore. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tao shook his head firmly and then stood directly beside Li Changsheng, showing his attitude with his actions. Changsheng is my brother. If anyone treats him in an unfair way, I will be the first to disagree. Meng Zikuan was stunned and his face was a little ugly. In front of so many people, he was a little embarrassed. Tao, you don't even listen to me for such a friend you just met? Meng Zikuan shook his head in disappointment. On the other side, Zheng Long said, Young Master Meng, I'll definitely kick this Li Changxing out. As for your friend, Meng Zikuan was one of the 4 young masters of the school. Even Zheng Long had to give him some face. He still didn't know the relationship between Meng Zikuan and Jiang Tao, so he was a little hesitant. Since he's willing to call this kid brother and doesn't listen to me, then kick them out together. After Meng Zikuan's words, Jiang Tao's eyes were full of disbelief. His big brother, whom he had always respected, actually said such words. In that case, Zheng Long was preparing to get people to kick Li Changsheng and Li Changxing out. As for the grudge of Li Changsheng splashing his girlfriend and causing her to fall to the ground, he would slowly settle it after returning to school. Anyway, with his power in Qingzhou University, it was very easy to deal with an ordinary student without any background. At this moment, Situ Nan, who had heard the news, saw Li Changsheng standing there, and his face changed. He walked to Zheng Long's side and whispered, This man is not simple. You'd better not offend him. Situ Nan knew Li Changsheng's true identity, but because Li Changsheng didn't let him say in advance, he didn't dare to say it. It was just that he had a good relationship with Zheng Long, so he kindly reminded him. Unexpectedly, Zheng Long asked, What's wrong? Young Master Situ, is he your friend? Situ, Nan shook his head. Zheng Long immediately sneered and said, In that case, you'd better not care. He splashed my girlfriend with water in my place. If I don't teach such a person a lesson, people will think that I, Zheng Long, am easy to bully. With that, without waiting for Situ Nan to say anything, Zheng Long had already ordered several members of the student union, kick him out. As soon as his voice fell, many people cast mocking gazes and thought he dared to offend Zheng Long at the fellowship party held by the student union. What's the point of kicking him out? I'm afraid his future days won't be easy. Wait a minute. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Chu Meng walked out of the crowd, and behind her were several well-dressed rich ladies. They all had a stunned expression on their faces. They didn't understand why Chu Meng, who usually didn't like to meddle in other people's business, would intervene in this kind of thing. Chapter 194. So, it's little sister Chu Meng. Seeing Chu Meng walk out, Zheng Long was slightly surprised, but he quickly greeted her with a smile. It was clear that their relationship wasn't ordinary. Brother Long, Li Changsheng is my friend. I heard them say that sister-in-law was in the wrong first. I think we should just let it go. Hearing Chu Meng's words, Zheng Long was stunned. He didn't expect Li Changsheng to know Chu Meng. However, when he thought about how he would lose face if he let Li Changsheng off in front of so many people, he shook his head and said, Sister Chu Meng, today's fellowship party was organized by me. They came to the fellowship party without my student council's invitation. It's already wrong, and now they've caused such a big commotion. I'm just asking them to leave. That's not too much, right? The girls behind Chu Meng couldn't help but speak up. Yeah, Chu Meng, Brother Long will take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. He didn't even receive an invitation. It's normal for him to leave now. Brother Long is the student council president. His girlfriend was bullied. Of course he has to do something. Your friend is also in the wrong. He's a man, yet he's so ungentlemanly. The girls chattered. It was clear that they were all on Zheng Long's side. Seeing so many people on his side, Zheng Long smiled and said, How about it? little sister Chu Ming. I'm just kicking him out of the party. It won't cause any harm to him. In front of so many people, you won't go against your brother Long's face, right? Zheng Long had known Chu Ming for a long time. His family had a lot of business dealings with the Chu family, so he felt that he had a lot of weight in front of Chu Ming. He knew that Chu Ming had a sense of propriety. She wouldn't go against him in this kind of situation. Therefore, without waiting for Chu Ming to reply, he gave the people next to him a look. I said, Li Changsheng is my friend, and he didn't do anything wrong. Don't you understand? Chu Ming's voice was cold as she stared straight at Zheng Long. Although you're the organizer of today's party, don't forget whose business House Xiang Hotel is. No one can kick Li Changsheng out. These words were like a resounding slap to Zheng Long's face. Many people who knew about the relationship between Chu Ming and Zheng Long couldn't believe it. Even Meng Zikuan's eyes were wide open. He wondered what kind of magic this seemingly ordinary kid had. First, Jiang Tao, who had always been obedient and respectful to him, treated him like that. Then, he made Chu Ming and Zheng Long, who had a good relationship with him, fall out with each other. Zheng Long was dumbfounded. Don't be fooled by the fact that he was calling her a girl and acting like a big brother in front of Chu Ming. He knew in his heart that Chu Ming was several levels higher than him in the circle of rich second generation in Qingzhou. If the Chu family did not cooperate with the Zheng family, they would still be the largest business group in Qingzhou. However, if the Zheng family left the Chu family, their assets would immediately shrink by more than half. There were too many powers attached to the Chu clan. The Zheng clan was just one of the bigger ones, so Zheng Long didn't dare and couldn't offend Chu Ming. His expression changed for a while. He knew that if he offended Chu Ming because of this matter, it would affect his family's business. Then, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. So, after weighing the pros and cons, he squeezed out a seemingly sincere smile. He said, Girl, look, you're falling out with your brother Long over such a small matter. Brother Long is really scared of you. Fine, since he's your friend, then let him stay. Whatever you say. As he spoke, he patted his girlfriend Wang Lu's shoulder and reproached, You too. It's easy to make enemies, but not easy to make enemies. What kind of grudges could there be? Later, let's toast to little brother Li Changsheng. In the future, we'll be friends. Although Wang Lu was very unwilling, under Zheng Long's urging, she reluctantly smiled at Li Changsheng and didn't say anything to apologize. Little brother, a woman's heart is as small as a needle's eye. Asking her to apologize to you is a bit embarrassing. How about this? Brother Long will accompany you for a drink later. In fact, when Chu Ming stood out, Li Changsheng already knew that this would be the result. After all, in Qingzhou, there wasn't any power that could go against the Chu family. Although young people were impulsive, Zheng Long was able to become the president of the student council not only because of his family, but also because of his own methods. This kind of person couldn't be compared to ordinary students. He had already learned to weigh the pros and cons and was shrewd. However, when this scene fell into the eyes of others, they couldn't help but feel a bit shocked. The dignified eldest miss of the Chu family, Chu Ming, actually fell out with Zheng Long because of Li Changsheng. This meant that Li Changsheng was far more important than Zheng Long in Chu Ming's heart. It seemed that Chu Ming's word friend was very valuable. Meng Zikuan, who had originally told Jiang Tao to ignore Li Changsheng, felt a bit of regret. If he had known that Li Changsheng had an unusual relationship with the eldest miss of the Chu family, he probably would have stood out to support Li Changsheng, even if it meant going against Zheng Long. After all, if he had a good relationship with Zheng Long, he would have obtained some benefits in the school and made some connections. However, how could those connections compare to his relationship with the eldest miss of the Chu family? What do you think? Chu Ming looked at Li Changsheng, wanting to know what he meant. However, Li Changsheng shook his head slightly. I don't like drinking with strangers. After saying this, he turned around and walked out of the hall. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. Zheng Long had chosen a compromise, but Li Changsheng's words didn't give Zheng Long any face at all. It was no different from slapping his face in front of everyone. Zheng Long's eyes were filled with anger. Just as Li Changsheng was about to step out of the hall, he finally couldn't help but shout, "Stop! You with the surname Li, don't be so shameless. Do you really think that I, Zhenglong, am easy to bully?" As soon as he said this, a few of Zhenglong's close friends rushed to the door. It seemed that a physical fight was about to break out. Meng Zikuan shook his head. His judgment of Li Changsheng was correct. This was a guy who didn't understand the ways of the world. Even if he wasn't close with Chu Meng, if he provoked Zhenglong in this kind of situation, he would inevitably suffer some physical pain. At this time, Chu Meng rushed over and kicked away a guy who was about to cause trouble for Li Changsheng. Then, she coldly looked at Zhenglong and said in an icy voice, "This is my Chu family's hotel. Do you believe that I won't make you suffer?" Suddenly, the entire hall fell into silence. After a moment of shock, Zhenglong's face turned into a bitter smile. He knew that he had completely lost today. At this time, Li Changsheng had already walked out of the hall without looking back. From beginning to end, his footsteps hadn't paused in the slightest. Perhaps many years later, people would forget what Li Changsheng looked like. However, that confident and carefree figure would forever be imprinted in the minds of everyone present. Chapter 195. What happened to the fellowship party quickly spread among the circle of influential people in Qingzhou University. Everyone knew that Zhenglong, the president of the student council, had lost a lot of face this time. The Chu family's young miss, Chu Meng, had fallen out with Zhenglong over a boy. People were trying to find out who that boy was and what his name was. They were all curious as to who could make Chu Meng make such a decision. Conflicts between the younger generation usually wouldn't affect the business cooperation between two large families. However, the relationship between the Zheng family and the Chu family wasn't as simple as a business partner. If one were to look deeper, the Zheng family was just a subordinate of the Chu family or a lackey of the Chu family. Especially when the Chu family had just taken the #1 position in Qingzhou and was like the sun at noon, the conflict between the two juniors was easily interpreted as a problem in the cooperation between the two families. Even the flap of a butterfly's wings could cause a hurricane, not to mention Chu Meng, the daughter of a rich family. Perhaps the Chu family wouldn't be affected much, but to the Zheng family, a few of their business partners suddenly went back on their word, and the stock price plummeted. This made the Zheng family realize that they were in danger. At this moment, in the Zheng family's villa, the sound of a table being slammed shut the housekeeper in charge of cleaning. "Zhenglong, what's going on? You can offend the young miss of the Chu family just because of a party. What happened to all the education I taught you over the years?" Sitting in the study was Zhenglong's father, a middle-aged man with white hair. His face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. "I didn't expect that young man to be related to Chu Meng." "A young man? Who is he?" Zheng Jun asked with a gloomy face. "I asked around. He's just an ordinary student. I don't know how he got to know Chu Meng." "Are you sure he has no background?" "Chu Meng fell out with you because she's friends with that young man." The gloominess on Zheng Jun's face dissipated a little. "I'm sure." Zheng Long nodded. "Okay, if he's just an ordinary friend, then it doesn't matter. I'll call the second master of the Chu family and have the Chu family express their stance. As long as we let the people in the circle know that there's no crack in our relationship with the Chu family, those who refuse to cooperate with us will come crying back to us." After speaking, Zheng Jun made a call. "Hello, second master, right, there's some unpleasantness between the children. I think that young man is called Li Changsheng." "Hello." Soon, Zheng Jun hung up the phone, and a smile appeared on Zheng Long's face. As long as his father stepped in, the matter would definitely be resolved perfectly. Seeing his father hang up the phone, Zheng Long couldn't wait to ask, "What did second master Chu say? There's no way the Chu clan would fall out with me over a poor brat. What's the relationship between our Zheng clan and the Chu clan? That brat caused our Zheng clan to lose so much money. When I return to school, I'll definitely teach him a lesson." Hearing that his own son still wanted to find trouble with Li Changsheng, Zheng Jun could not help but fly into a rage. He slammed the table again and roared, "Zheng Long, How can I have such a trash son like you? Do you know what kind of trouble you've caused by offending such a powerful enemy before even figuring out the identity of the other party? Just now, Second Master said that from today onwards, he will terminate the cooperation between the Chu clan and our Zheng clan. Without the support of the Chu clan, our Zheng clan will immediately fall from a first-rate enterprise to a third-rate one. If those fellows on the board of directors find out that it's because of you, then I don't need to be the chairman anymore. And all of this is because you offended that young man called Li Changsheng. Because of the incident at the fellowship party, the Zheng clan's business plummeted. At this time, Li Changsheng's life had already returned to normal. In the past few days, a few medicinal herb merchants had finally called him and collected some medicinal herbs. It had to be said that these medicinal herb merchants were still very powerful. If Li Changsheng were to collect these medicinal herbs himself, it would probably take a lot of effort. However, a lot of medicinal herbs had arrived, and he had spent a lot of money. It seemed that he was a little stretched. After all, even if these medicinal herb merchants wanted to curry favor with Li Changsheng, he could not refuse to give them money. Fortunately, the Luo River diagram sent someone to deliver a card with 100 billion yuan inside. It was said that it was a credit card that could be used in overdraft. It could be considered as solving Li Changsheng's current financial problems. However, 100 billion yuan was not enough to just rely on the Luo River diagram. If he wanted to quickly recover his strength, he would need too many medicinal herbs. If converted into yuan, it would definitely be an astronomical figure. Chu Yaodian, Su Xiaolin, and the others were all groomed by Li Changsheng. Each of them had a lot of assets, but Li Changsheng was still a little hesitant to ask his subordinates for money. If there's no other way, I'll run a company of my own. Li Changsheng suddenly had an idea. On the path of cultivation, wealth, companions, techniques, and land were indispensable. The word wealth ranked first. Since ancient times, the birth of every immortal cultivator had cost a lot of money and resources. Many large immortal cultivator sects also operated large forces in the secular world. At the entrance of Green Vine High School, Yu Yue walked out of the school. She was wearing jeans, a plain-colored shirt, and white flats. After dinner, she was supposed to attend 3 periods of self-study. She was in her 3rd year of high school, so studying was very stressful. However, because Li Changsheng asked her to go shopping, Yu Yue chose to skip class for the first time in her life. She crossed the road in front of the school and walked in front of Li Changsheng. She was a little shy as she held Li Changsheng's hand. After all, they were in front of the school. If the students and teachers inside saw them, they would probably be on the front page of Green Vine High School the next day. However, she had not seen Li Changsheng for a long time. She missed him even more. The moment he saw Li Changsheng, his emotions gushed out, unable to be suppressed. Li Changsheng held Yu Yue's hand and stopped a taxi by the side of the road. Then, they went straight to the biggest department store nearby. First, they went to a famous food street to eat. Then, he brought Yu Yue to the entrance of the department store. However, Yu Yue stopped in her tracks. She did not want to go in. Indeed, the clothes in the department store were expensive. Any one of them was probably worth half a year of Yu Yue's living expenses, or even a year. At school, she was a good student in the eyes of the teachers. She was the school's most beautiful girl in the eyes of her classmates. However, this did not change the fact that she came from a poor family. Standing in front of the luxurious department store, she could not help but feel a little timid. Li Changsheng could not help but think of the 4th time he met the red-clothed figure. She was a direct disciple of a large sect. Many people thought that she was an immortal. However, because it was her first time going down the mountain, she did not know that she needed to spend money to buy things. In the end, because of a steam bun, she was accused of being a thief. She was pointed at her nose and scolded. However, she did not dare to talk back. She just stood there crying. At that time, she was very similar to the Yu Yue standing in front of the department store. Chapter 196. Why don't you dare to go in? What are you afraid of? You even conquered such an excellent man like me. Why are you afraid of shopping? Li Changsheng put his arm around Yu Yue's shoulder. Yu Yue couldn't help but roll her eyes at Li Changsheng and muttered, "You're so thick-skinned." However, after being hugged by Li Changsheng, other than feeling a little shy in public, her originally nervous state of mind instantly calmed down, as if she really had suddenly gained strength. "Okay, let's go in together." Yu Yue took a deep breath, like a soldier who had made up her mind to go to war. The two walked in, and even though it was daytime, there were still bright lights everywhere. Yu Yue looked even more beautiful under the lights, and from time to time, men passing by would cast metaphorical or bold glances at her. Even a few women couldn't help but look at her a few more times, lamenting that they weren't born as beautiful and refined. When they walked past a lingerie shop, Yu Yue lowered her head with a red face. If Li Changsheng wasn't next to her, she might have the courage to look carefully, but now that Li Changsheng was holding her hand, she felt a little uncomfortable. Just as Yu Yue was about to quickly walk past the shop, Li Changsheng suddenly stopped, pointed at a white lace, and said, "I think you'll look good in this." Yu Yue blushed to her ears, grabbed Li Changsheng's hand, and quickly left the shop. The shop next door sold jewelry. Although Li Changsheng and Yu Yue's clothes didn't seem like they could afford the things inside, their service was still very polite. First, it was because of their professionalism, and second, Yu Yue's beauty and simplicity, which easily aroused a good impression. Of course, Li Changsheng, who stayed next to Yu Yue, seemed a little too ordinary, without any special characteristics. The woman in charge of receiving Li Changsheng probably thought that they were a simple couple from the countryside. She sighed that it was rare to see a girl as beautiful as Yu Yue. On the other side, he was sighing with emotion. Li Changsheng, who did not have any special characteristics, was able to obtain the favor of such a beautiful girl. At the same time, he was thinking that the girl would not be lost in the city's bright lights. Li Changsheng pointed to a necklace on the counter. The price was as high as 100,000 yuan. The diamond on the pendant was very dazzling. Li Changsheng took out the necklace and personally put it around Yu Yue's neck. Yu Yue was a little nervous and her palms were sweaty. However, Li Changsheng was very calm. He observed the effect on Yu Yue from different angles. In the end, he shook his head and said, "This one won't work. Change to another one." Thus, he changed 4 or 5 necklaces in succession. Yu Yue's forehead began to sweat. She was a little nervous and did not know what to do. In the end, Li Changsheng still shook his head. The waiter seemed to have expected such a result. He was not very disappointed. When he put away the necklace, he pointed to a necklace with a lower price on the counter next to him and said, "I think this one is very beautiful. It suits your girlfriend very well." Li Changsheng directly shook his head. He felt that it was not suitable for Yu Yue. The attendant was also very patient. He continued to introduce a few more necklaces, but they were all rejected by Li Changsheng. Thus, the attendant stood to the side in silence. He felt that this man's temperament was extremely ordinary. To be able to find such a beautiful girlfriend, he was indeed a toad that ate swan meat. Even if he was short on money, since he brought his girlfriend in, he should at least buy one. However, it seemed that he was not going to buy a single one. He was a little stingy. He felt that it was unfair for Yu Yue. However, at this moment, another attendant who had finished serving the previous group of customers came over and led Li Changsheng and Yu Yue to a counter inside with a smile. These necklaces are all designed by world-class masters, and several of them are limited edition. "Sir, you could take a look." "Okay." Li Changsheng nodded. Yu Yue was a little nervous. Walking into such a shopping mall, she was already nervous. In addition, Li Changsheng had chosen so many necklaces, but he did not buy them. The surrounding stalls glanced at her from time to time, which made her even more nervous. "I'll take this one," Li Changsheng directly said after comparing Yu Yue's snow-white neck. "This one was specially custom-made. A customer placed it here. If you like it, we can make one for you, but I'm afraid it will take a week." "Okay." Li Changsheng nodded. "Sir, please leave your contact information. I will call you when the necklace is ready." "Okay." Li Changsheng picked up a pen and wrote a series of numbers. Then, he took Yu Yue's hand and walked to a nearby shop. After Li Changsheng left, The female attendant carefully put away the note with Li Changxing's phone number. The attendant who had served Yu Wei at the beginning was puzzled. Sister Na, are you really going to customize that necklace for him? You know, except for our regular customers, everyone needs to pay a deposit. You didn't even ask him for a deposit. What if he doesn't want the necklace after it is customized? He looked at so many necklaces and didn't buy one. He obviously thinks it is expensive. This necklace is relatively slim because it doesn't have a price tag. Maybe he thinks it is a cheap necklace that only costs a few hundred yuan? Hearing her colleague's words, the woman called Sister Na smiled slightly. No, he is not someone who can't afford it. I don't know if you noticed the bank card in his hand that he's going to pay for. That is a black credit card called Ultima, issued by Citibank. It is called the King of Cards by the industry. The people who have this black card are the top customers of the bank. That young man looks ordinary, but his net worth is at least 10 million yuan. This is the real low-key. So powerful. The waiter was already a loss for words. I thought he was poor and couldn't afford an expensive necklace. It turns out that he is hiding his strength. In another store, a bag was priced at 18,000 yuan. Yu Wei was reluctant to let Li Changxing spend so much money to buy something for her. But seeing Li Changxing's determined eyes, she finally compromised. The waiter marveled at Li Changxing's plain clothes, yet he was willing to spend so much money for his girlfriend. He thought, sure enough, there's a reason why a toad can eat swan meat. After all, there are very few people who know the black card like Sister Na. So when the woman swiped the card from the POS machine and accidentally pressed the inquiry button, she was completely stunned when she saw a series of Arabic numbers. Even the pen that was handed to Li Changxing to sign his name was trembling from excitement. After leaving the store, Yu Wei asked curiously, "Why do I feel that after swiping the card, the way the attendant looked at you changed? She should have seen the balance of my card." Li Changxing said casually, "Do you have a lot of balance in your card?" "Not much, just more than 10 zeros." "More than 10 zeros?" Yu Wei froze for a moment. Then her face showed shock. "Isn't that tens of billions?" Chapter 197. Li Changxing put the bag he bought for Yu Wei into her old school bag. Because the bag wasn't too big, it was bulging with books every day, so it wasn't that conspicuous after it was put in. Because Yu Wei's parents didn't know that Yu Wei and Li Changxing were dating, if they saw this bag, it was inevitable that they would overthink. "Go up. Remember to text me." Li Changxing hugged Yu Wei and kissed her gently on the forehead. He watched Yu Wei go up the stairs before turning back to the villa. These days, he had to cultivate in the villa every day and didn't return to the dormitory. However, Jiang Tao and the others thought that he was working part-time outside, so they didn't suspect anything. A week had passed since the incident at the fraternity party. Although the impact was still fermenting, it had almost nothing to do with Li Changxing, the initiator. Because the autumn sports meeting was about to be held, Ma Yi once again gathered the students in the class together for a class meeting. Li Changxing received a notification from Ma Yi, but this time it wasn't a text message, but a direct call. His tone was much more polite. After all, his performance at the fraternity party proved Li Changxing's ability. Even Ma Yi, the class monitor, had to put away his sense of superiority in front of Li Changxing. Not to mention that Ma Yi was a smooth and slick person. In the class, Wei Qingqing was holding a makeup mirror and touching up her makeup. When the female classmate next to her saw the class monitor, Ma Yi and Zhang Wenbin, she couldn't help but say, "Hey, Qingqing, I don't know if you've heard, but Ma Yi and Ji Lin have reconciled." At that time, I saw Ma Yi and Ji Lin smiling and greeting each other when they met downstairs. This is unbelievable. You know, their hatred can be traced back to high school. They have always been enemies. Wei Qingqing closed the makeup mirror and revealed a stunned expression. They can reconcile. This is as surprising as a cat and a mouse becoming friends. It's good that they reconciled. Ji Lin is so handsome, and many girls in our class liked him. In the past, because of Ma Yi, the two of them always fought, and we didn't know who to support. Now, it's good. We can openly support Ji Lin, a girl said with a hand on her cheek. Wei Qingqing glanced at the girl. In terms of appearance and figure, she couldn't compare to her. She actually wanted to compete with her for Ji Lin. She really overestimated herself. However, when she thought of Ji Lin's identity, his father was a specially appointed professor of the academy, and his mother was said to be a senior executive of some company. He was a typical rich second generation. Although she was very confident in her appearance, at this moment, she really felt that she wasn't worthy of him. I heard that at a social gathering a few days ago, the student council president, Zheng Long, had a conflict with our school's #1 goddess, Chu Ming. In the end, Zheng Long was expelled from school because of it. It seems that the Zheng family is in a pretty bad situation right now. A girl's brother was in the student union and knew some rumors. Aren't the Zheng family and the Chu family business partners? Why did Zheng Long fall out with Chu Ming? Wei Qingqing's interest was piqued. I heard it's because of a man. I think his name is Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng? Wei Qingqing frowned. Suddenly, a figure jumped into her mind. Isn't that the guy who kicked Ji Lin out of the classroom that day? She clenched her fists subconsciously. Kicking the person she liked out of the classroom was simply unforgivable. What exactly happened? The people around her were intrigued. The girl repeated the news she'd received from her brother. Li Changsheng barged into the party without a ticket and got into a conflict with Zheng Long's girlfriend. Later, Chu Ming stood out to support Li Changsheng, causing a conflict with Zheng Long. The people around her were skeptical. Why would Chu Ming fall out with Zheng Long over Li Changsheng? They probably had some conflicts before, and she's just using this as an excuse. Everyone nodded. They felt that this was probably the case. However, Li Changsheng actually knew Chu Ming. It seemed that things weren't as simple as they seemed on the surface. When Li Changsheng entered the classroom, he saw that many people were looking at him. He didn't care and sat down in a corner. Wei Qingqing, on the other hand, was quite hostile towards Li Changsheng. The theme of this class meeting was the autumn sports meet. He was speaking on the podium. He hadn't even said 2 sentences when the classroom door was pushed open and Ji Lin appeared at the door. In an instant, the class fell into silence. Most of the people in the class saw with their own eyes how Ji Lin was kicked out of the classroom by Li Changxing that day, so they instinctively thought that Ji Lin was here to cause trouble for Li Changxing. Thus, many people looked at him with pity. The young man sitting next to Li Changsheng subconsciously moved his chair to the side to increase the distance between him and Li Changsheng, afraid that he would be implicated. Among the freshmen, Ji Lin was definitely a troublemaker. Everyone had more or less heard of some of his insolent deeds, especially since Ji Lin liked Wu Xiaowan and would often come to her class. Everyone in the class was no stranger to him. This Ji Lin relies on his father's connections in the school to do whatever he wants. He only knows how to bully honest people. Offending him won't end well for you. Didn't Ji Lin and Mai make up? Why is he still causing trouble at this time? He made up with Mai, but that doesn't mean he made up with Li Changsheng. That's true. There isn't any deep hatred between Ji Lin and Mai, but it's different with Li Changsheng. That day in class, Mai was played miserably. Following Ji Lin's appearance, Mai was just about to say something when he saw Ji Lin directly walk towards Li Changsheng. Thus, the sounds of discussion gradually died down. Many people held their breaths, feeling that there was definitely going to be a fight today. Countless gazes focused on Li Changsheng. Behind him, a classmate pulled on Li Changsheng's clothes and said in a low voice, "Brother, if you really can't do it, just apologize to him." A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. This Ji Lin isn't someone ordinary students like us can afford to offend. Li Changsheng smiled, thanking him for his kind reminder, but he didn't do anything. Scram to the side. Ji Lin walked over and pointed at the man sitting next to Li Changsheng, coldly saying, "That man didn't dare to say anything." He hurriedly got up and gave up his seat. Then, Ji Lin pulled out a chair and sat next to Li Changsheng. He put a leather bag in his hand on the table. Opening the bag, one could see a few stacks of red notes inside. "Brotherly, I heard that you're very good at fighting. I've had a dream since I was young, and that is to be invincible. Here's 50,000. I won't hide it. I want to learn martial arts from you. Li Chongqing looked to the money in the bag and Ji Lin's self-righteous face. He raised his eyebrows and spat out 2 words, scram. Chapter 198. Wei Qingqing kept looking back in Li Chongqing's direction. Ji Lin was sitting next to Li Chongqing, grinning. Even though Li Chongqing told him to get lost, this guy who had always been the king of the school didn't show the slightest anger. Instead, he took the initiative to get in front of Li Chongqing, like a piece of dogskin plaster. This made Wei Qingqing somewhat unable to accept. Was this still the boy she had always been secretly in love with? She suddenly wondered if Ma, Yi, and Ji Lin got together because of Li Chongqing. Then she thought about what the girl said before. At the banquet, Chu Meng fell out with the president of the student council, Zheng Long, for Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing, it was all because of Li Chongqing. What kind of magic did he have to make the influential people in the school follow him? Ma Yi continued to talk about the autumn sports on the podium. Li Chongqing flipped through a book in boredom. In the class, there were all kinds of eyes that swept over Li Chongqing without leaving a trace. They originally thought that Ji Lin's appearance was to pick a quarrel and that Li Chongqing was going to be unlucky. They didn't expect that Ji Lin, who had always been the king of the freshmen, would be like this after seeing Li Chongqing. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, who would believe it? Brotherly, I heard that after I left the class that day, you danced with Teacher Wu. Tell me the truth. Are you interested in Teacher Wu? Ji Lin gave Li Chongqing a look that all men understood. Li Chongqing shook his head. No, you're thinking too much. Impossible, Ji Lin said in disbelief. 90% of the boys in the university have a crush on Wu Shaowan. How can you not be moved at all? You must be lying. Ji Lin and Li Chongqing talked, and the people around them pricked up their ears. They wanted to find out Li Chongqing's true identity from the clues. Absolutely not. She's not my type, Li Chongqing said indifferently. On the podium, Ma Yi's voice suddenly stopped. The classroom door was pushed open and a beautiful figure walked in. It was Wu Shaowan. She directly walked towards Li Chongqing. What's the situation? Why is Teacher Wu here? Everyone was puzzled. Wu Shaowan walked over to Li Chongqing and stood in front of him. She saw that Li Chongqing had his head lowered and was reading a book. It was as if he did not realize that a beauty like her had appeared. She could not help but use her jade-like fingers to knock on the table. Dang, dang, dang. Li Chongqing raised his head and looked at Wu Shaowan in confusion. This student who's reading a book, I think I heard you say that I'm not your type. Many people turned around and thought, what is the meaning of this? Could it be that this goddess wants to denounce Li Chongqing? Even Ji Lin gave Li Chongqing a good luck look, taking the initiative to pull away from him. Yeah, Li Chongqing nodded. Many people couldn't help but show a gloating expression. This guy actually dared to say such words in front of Wu Shaowan. Doesn't he know that women are the most vengeful? Who knew that Wu Shaowan was not angry and just smiled? It doesn't matter whether I'm your type or not. What matters is that you're my type. The whole class opened their eyes wide at this moment. Chase. Confession? Could it be that Wu Shaowan likes Li Chongqing? At the same time, Chun Wan, who was playing games with Jiang Tao and the others in the internet cafe, had just stretched and stood up from the chair. She was about to go home when she suddenly covered her forehead. Her body swayed and then fell to the ground with a plop sound. Chun Wan, what's wrong with you? Su Ying, who was sitting next to Chun Wan, hurriedly ran over. A few minutes later, an ambulance appeared and sent Chun Wan to the hospital. After class, Li Chongqing refused Ji Lin's invitation to treat him to a meal. When he returned to the dormitory, he saw Jiang Tao and the others frowning. Chun Wan is hospitalized. Li Chongqing heard the news as soon as he entered the dormitory. He didn't have much of a reaction to this. After all, he and Chun Wan had always been on bad terms. However, he still asked, what's the disease? It's a brain tumor. It was originally a benign brain tumor, but because it was discovered late, it has already grown very big. The doctor said that the success rate of the operation is only 50%. If the operation fails, Chun Wan will die. What? Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan, next to him, were also surprised. At that time, they were also in the internet cafe, but they didn't follow her to the hospital. They originally thought that Chun Wan had fainted because she suddenly stood up after playing games for a long time. They didn't expect it to be so serious. Although Chun Wan's family is quite rich and can afford the operation, the technology in China is still not mature. The operation is very dangerous. There is an authoritative expert who can treat this disease with a success rate of more than 90%. However, Chun Wan's family was rejected when they went to invite the expert. Hearing Jiang Tao's words, Yang Fan was puzzled. Since the Chun family is not short of money, there is no reason for the expert to leave them in the lurch. Normally, it wouldn't be a problem to invite that specialist over, but now that specialist is treating a tycoon. That tycoon also has a brain tumor, and it's a malignant one. He needs a specialist's 24-hour care. That specialist has already been hired by that tycoon as his personal doctor. If we want to invite that specialist over, we need that tycoon's approval. Then what should we do? Didn't Chen Wan's family beg the rich man? Zhang Xiaofeng also frowned. Although they didn't have a good impression of Chen Wan, they wouldn't be indifferent when it was a matter of life and death. Chen Wan's family went there a few times, but they couldn't even see the rich man's face. I tried to pull some strings, but the rich man's condition was very tense. He refused to let the doctor operate on Chen Wan. After all, if the doctor left the rich man's side, the rich man might have to bear the risk. Humans are selfish. It's impossible for them to put themselves in danger for a stranger they've never met. Then isn't Chen Wan in danger this time? What is the Chun family going to do? Zhang Xiaofeng asked. There's no other way. We can only find another doctor to do the surgery. If we find the expert, the success rate will be 90% or even 100%. Ordinary doctors only have 50% to 60% at most. Jiang Tao sighed. After saying this, he shrugged his shoulders. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. We can't help much. Doesn't Chongqing know Miss Chu? Can't we just ask the Chu family to use some of their connections? Zhang Xiaofeng instinctively thought of Li Chongsheng. What? Chongsheng actually knows Miss Chu? Yang Fan was a little surprised. He just went back to his hometown a few days ago and didn't know what happened at the banquet. However, Jiang Tao shook his head. It's useless. That rich man is a big entrepreneur in Beijing. I've inquired about him, and the Chu family doesn't have any dealings with Beijing. Their connections can't reach there. Moreover, don't look at the Chu family's strength in Qingzhou. It pales in comparison to the Chu family. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's buy some fruits and go to the hospital to see Chen Wan. Chapter 199. Sure enough, when they arrived at the hospital ward, it was gloomy and gloomy. Su Ying, Zhang Mingming, and Hao Ting were all there. Chen Wan lay on the hospital bed, her face pale and her eyes empty. Anyone who knew that she didn't have many good days left wouldn't be happy. Chen Wan, don't be sad. Maybe it's not that bad. Hao Ting comforted her in a low voice. Yes, if it doesn't work, we'll think of something. Besides that specialist, there might be other specialists. Although Su Ying said this, no one was confident. If they could find other specialists, they would have done it long ago. Why would they wait until now? There's only a 50 to 60% chance of success. What should I do? Chen Wan couldn't help crying. Her face was haggard, and there was no trace of her usual stubbornness. Chen Wan, we're here to see you. Jiang Tao came in and put down the fruit. But Chen Wan wasn't in the mood to eat fruit. Not long after Li Chongsheng and the others came in, the door to the ward opened and a middle-aged couple walked in. Damn, Mom. Chen Wan's eyes turned red when she saw the couple. Wan the middle-aged couple also couldn't help crying. Uncle, Andy, what's the situation? Hao Ting asked. Father Chun shook his head. No, they've pulled a lot of strings, but that rich man's status is too high, and they can't talk to him at all. It's said that the rich man also knows about Wan but it'll take him 2 days to travel from the capital to Qingzhou, plus 3 or 4 days for the operation. The rich man's illness could flare up at any time, so he doesn't agree to let that specialist treat Wan at all. What should we do? Everyone furrowed their brows. Uncle, what's that rich man's name? Li Chongsheng suddenly asked. He's the chairman of Wanqing Group, Dong Xin. Wanqing Group is a big company in the capital. Chen Jiqing looked Li Chongxing up and down. Seeing that he was dressed ordinarily and didn't look like a rich man's son, he couldn't help shaking his head in disappointment. He felt that Li Chongxing definitely couldn't help him. Chen Wan also raised her head and looked at Li Chongxing. Probably because it was very likely that he would not live for long, his entire person became much kinder. He actually took the initiative to smile at Li Chongxing. "Thank you for coming to see me. I know you know Miss Chu, but I'm afraid it's useless. My father has already sent people to visit Chu Xing, the second master of the Chu family. Chu Xing said that he doesn't know any forces in the capital. So you're a friend of the first miss of the Chu clan." Chen Jiqing was a little surprised, but that was all. They had already tried to contact the Chu clan, so they didn't have much hope. Li Chongxing smiled and didn't say anything. After staying in the ward for a while, the atmosphere was a little heavy, so everyone bid farewell and left. After leaving the hospital, Jiang Tao suggested that they go out for a meal. While they were in the bathroom, Li Chongxing called Su Xiaolin. "Hello, sir, what can I do for you?" On the other end of the phone, Su Xiaolin's voice was respectful. Li Chongxing cut to the chase and asked directly, "Do you know Dong Xin, the chairman of Beijing Wanqing Group?" "I do." Su Xiaolin thought for a while and said, "This year, I'm working on a project with Wanqing Group." "What's wrong? Did Wanqing's people offend you?" Su Xiaolin's tone was a little cold. In his heart, anyone who dared to offend Li Chongxing deserved to die. "That's not it. I heard that the chairman of Wanqing has a brain tumor, and he has a private doctor who is second to none in the country. Coincidentally, I also have a friend who has the same disease, and I want to ask his private doctor to perform an operation for me. Can you tell him?" "So it's about this." Su Xiaolin laughed. "It's a piece of cake. Dong Xin is a coward. In fact, his disease is mostly under control, and he has a private doctor following him everywhere. I'll call him right away." "Okay." Li Chongxing hung up the phone. At this time, Chen Jiqing's phone suddenly rang in Chen Wan's ward. "Hello? Who is it?" "What? You're Dong Xion's secretary. Okay." Chen Jiqing hung up the phone, and his hands trembled with excitement. "What's wrong?" Chen Wan and her mother looked at Chen Jiqing in confusion. "You're saved. You're saved. The chairman of Wanqing Group heard about your situation and agreed to let his expert perform surgery for you." "Really?" Chen Wan also sat up straight with excitement. The family was surrounded by great joy and cried tears of joy. After a long time, Chen Wan said in confusion, "Dad, didn't the chairman of Wanqing say that he didn't agree to let his expert treat me? Did he suddenly have a conscience and change his mind?" "That's not it." Chen Jiqing shook his head. "I heard from the secretary that someone interceded for you, so Dong Xin agreed." "Someone interceded for me? Who could it be?" Chen Wan racked her brains, but couldn't think of it. "Although our family is rich, we're far from rich and powerful. Some of the connections we used before were also helpless." Chen Jiqing also frowned. "I can't think of anyone who has such power. None of my friends have such power." "Want to think about it. Is it one of your classmates or friends who helped?" "My classmates." Chen Wan thought about it. Among the people she knew, only Jiang Tao and Shang Jianping had background. Jiang Tao had been here just now, so it was obviously not him. Otherwise, he would have told her the good news just now. So, Shang Jianping was the only one left. Not only Chen Wan thought so, but Hao Ting and Suing also looked at Zhang Mingming. "Why are you looking at me?" Zhang Mingming was puzzled. "Mingming, it must be your Shang Jianping's doing. Shang Jianping's family is very powerful." A few days ago, I heard that he made a big deal in Beijing. Hearing their words, Zhang Mingming was also stunned. "Is it really him?" "Of course it's him. It must be him." Chen Wan was so excited that she held Zhang Mingming's hand. "Mingming, you have found a good partner. If it weren't for him, I would have been doomed. When I am discharged from the hospital, I must treat you and Shang Jianping to a good meal. Also call Jiang Tao. He has been very helpful and made a lot of phone calls. If you call Jiang Tao, then call Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan from their dormitory as well. Otherwise, it will seem that you favor one and discriminate against the other. Hao Ting interrupted. Then, should we call Li Changsheng? Su Ying said. The room fell into silence. The girls were in high spirits and had already thought about the celebration banquet. Shenwan had a benign tumor. Because it was too big, the surgery was very tricky. With the ability of the authoritative expert in the medical field, there was almost no possibility of failure. No wonder they were so optimistic. Li Changsheng? Several people's faces showed hesitation. I think it's better not to call him. Because of Ming Ming, his relationship with Shang Jianping is not good. Moreover, he is too boring. I'm afraid he will spoil everyone's mood. Shenwan said. The girls didn't say anything, which was a tacit agreement. If one were to talk about the most popular person in dormitory 305, of course, it would be Jiang Tao, the rich second generation. Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan didn't have any special characteristics, but they were harmless and easy to integrate into the atmosphere. Only Li Changsheng was sometimes taciturn, but sometimes he showed off his ability and made people dislike him. Considering that Yu Jianfeng was Yu Youwei's elder and his relationship with Yu Youwei, Li Changsheng reluctantly called him second uncle. Yu Jianfeng looked Li Changsheng up and down. You're that Li Changsheng? As he spoke, there was a hint of contempt in his eyes. After a short exchange, they fell into silence again. Yu Baohua occasionally chatted with Yu Jianfeng. Yu Youwei explained to Li Changsheng in a low voice, "This is my second uncle. My second uncle is a businessman. He runs a small factory and has a net worth of several million yuan." No wonder. Li Changsheng nodded. Several million yuan was not even enough to reach the bottom of the rich circle in Qingzhou. However, for a poor family like Yu Youwei's, he was definitely a rich man in her circle of relatives. With money and power, he would speak with more confidence than ordinary people. Changsheng, I invited you out to dinner this time to thank you for helping Yu Youwei last time. I've been wanting to invite you out for a long time, but I didn't have time. Now, I finally have time. Youwei's mother said with a smile on her face. She was a typical rural woman. She was simple and kind and basically had no temper. The dishes began to be served one after another. During this time, Yu Baohua smoked 4 or 5 cigarettes in a row. Several times, he wanted to say something but hesitated. Finally, Yu Jianfeng took the initiative to put a piece of fish in Li Changsheng's bowl and said, "You're Li Changsheng, right? In fact, my brother and sister-in-law invited you out to dinner today to thank you for helping Yu Wei last time. Another reason is because the college entrance examination is coming soon. A few days ago, I heard from her substitute teacher that she had 3 evening self-study classes. You have seen the financial situation of my brother's family. They are all depending on Yu Wei to get into college and change their fate. At this juncture, they don't want any mistakes to happen. You and Yu Wei are friends. Of course, we have no objection to you young people being friends, but don't cross the line. After all, you're still too young." Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng thought to himself, no wonder. It turns out that they found out about me skipping class last time. The Yu family set up such a table to express their attitude that they didn't want Yu Wei to be in a relationship with me. If he hadn't helped Yu Wei last time at the restaurant and made the Yu family owe him a favor, he was afraid that they wouldn't be so amiable today. Perhaps Yu Wei's second uncle would have already slammed the table and told him to stay away from Yu Wei. Originally, Yu Wei was about to enter college, and it was understandable that the parents would regard puppy love as a scourge. However, Yu Jianfeng's next words were a little harsh. Yu Wei is very good at her studies and is a top student in the whole school. It won't be difficult for her to get into a famous college. Although Qingzhou University is not bad, it is still a little inferior to those top universities. If she wants to find a boyfriend, she must go to college. The people there are most suitable for her. Yu Jianfeng's words were clearly implying that Li Changsheng wasn't good enough for Yu Wei. Yu Wei had already grabbed Li Changsheng's hand tightly. afraid that Li Changsheng would be angry and leave. However, when she looked up, she saw Li Changsheng's warm gaze. Studying also requires a balance of work and rest because studying every day is too tiring. That day, I just took her out for a walk. Don't think too much. Li Changsheng smiled. As for the famous college, in my opinion, it's actually not important. Although a diploma can represent a person's ability to a certain extent, it can't represent everything. Many people who didn't go to a famous college can also become super rich, and those students from famous colleges can only work for them. Li Changsheng didn't say anything else after he finished speaking. At this time, the dishes were all served. Several people picked up their chopsticks and began to eat. Then, the topic just now ended. Yu Wei, isn't that Principal Wu from your school? Yu Bao's seat just happened to be able to see the door. Hearing this, everyone turned their heads and saw an old man in a suit walking in. It was Wu Ruowang, the principal of Green Vine High School. Next to him, a beautiful girl was holding his arm. It was his daughter, Wu Xiaowan. Yu Wei, quickly ask your principal to come over for dinner. This principal is very good to you. I wanted to invite him to dinner several times, but he didn't come out. It's not easy to meet him today. Yu Baowa hurriedly said. Okay. Yu Wei stood up and walked toward Wu Ruowang, while Li Changsheng looked a little speechless. Recently, he didn't know why he would run into Wu Xiaowan everywhere he went. Chapter 201. Wu Ruowang was invited over. Yu Wei's family all stood up to welcome him. Only Li Changsheng sat there without moving. A trace of displeasure flashed in Yu Bao's eyes. He felt that Li Changsheng was a little impolite. Isn't this Changsheng? What a coincidence. Unexpectedly, when Wu Ruowang saw Li Changsheng, his eyes immediately lit up. He went over and patted Li Changsheng on the shoulder, looking very friendly. When he was about to sit down next to Li Changsheng, he saw that Wu Xiaowan had already pulled out a chair and sat down before her father. This made everyone present a little stunned. What was going on? Changsheng, I lost to you in the chess game in the office last time. I'm not convinced, but I've been practicing my chess skills these days. Someday, I must play a game to my heart's content. Wu Ruowang said a few words to Li Changsheng before he noticed the people of the Yu family standing there. He smiled awkwardly. This young friend and I are friends despite the difference in age. I forgot myself a little. Everyone, please sit down. Only then did the people of the Yu family sit down. Li Changsheng, I've been saying that I want to treat you to a meal, but you always refuse. But I see that you have plenty of time now. What's wrong? Is it because I'm not charming enough to invite you? Wu Xiaowan pouted. She looked at Li Changsheng with resentment in her eyes, as if she was acting coquettishly. At the dinner table, Yu Baogua, Yu Jianfeng, Yu Wei's mother, and Yu Wei all looked at this scene in a daze and looked at each other. Yu Baogua finally interrupted and said, President Wu, you and Li Changsheng know each other in advance. When Wu Ruowang heard this, he laughed and said, I know him. Of course I know him. We are very familiar with each other. Although Li Changsheng is young, his level of Go is very high. He defeated me completely. Moreover, Changsheng is going to Qingzhou University, which will definitely bury his talent. With his strength, I think he should be recommended to Tsinghua University. Everyone from the Yu clan was even more confused. Wu Ruowang was also a famous figure in the education field. Now, he was full of praise for Li Changsheng and called him a friend despite the difference in age. It was likely that he did not just admire Li Changsheng. Even Yu Jianfeng, who had been dismissive of Li Changsheng from the beginning, couldn't help but re-evaluate this ordinary young man. Regardless of identity or status, Wu Ruowang had students all over the world. He had very strong connections in all fields of Qingzhou province. Although Yu Jianfeng had opened a small factory and had some assets, it was not worth mentioning compared to Wu Ruowang's connections. Moreover, Yu Jianfeng's son was about to enter high school. As long as he didn't leave Qingzhou, Green Vine High School was definitely one of the top schools in Qingzhou. However, his son's studies were not as good as Yu Wei's. It would be a little difficult for him to enter Green Vine High School. When he saw Wu Ruowang just now, He was thinking in his heart whether he could use his relationship with Wu Ruowang to let his son enter a key high school. Hearing that the old principal did not like money, Yu Jianfeng was thinking about how to make a breakthrough. Li Changsheng's appearance made Yu Jianfeng see an opportunity. Changsheng is really an outstanding young man. To tell you the truth, if Changsheng wasn't already taken, I would really want to introduce my daughter to him. Everyone from the Yu clan laughed along with Wu Ruowang, but their hearts were already shocked. Yu Yue couldn't help but look at Li Changsheng. Thinking of Li Changsheng's extraordinary performance, he was completely worthy of Wu Shaowan. Even Wu Shaowan and Li Changsheng were beyond her reach. Yu Yue tried hard to keep herself calm, but she still couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Wu Shaowan's appearance made her instinctively feel a sense of crisis. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Wu Shaowan rolled her eyes at Wu Ruowang and then said, "Even if the famous flower is taken, I can still compete. It depends on whether some people give me a fair chance to compete." When these words came out, everyone was dumbfounded. Originally, they thought that Wu Ruowang's words were joking, but Wu Shaowan's words seemed to make Li Changsheng a delicious cake. With Wu Shaowan's appearance, she was definitely not inferior to Yu Yue, and the Wu clan's family background was far better than the Yu clan's. Everyone from the Yu clan suddenly had complicated thoughts. Today's banquet was to break up the couple and let Li Changsheng and Yu Yue draw a clear line. But it was someone who they abandoned like a shoe that someone treasured. What was going on? At the dinner table, Yu Jianfeng calmed down and took the initiative to chat with Wu Ruowang. It was a pity that although Yu Jianfeng was a small boss and had some knowledge, he was uneducated. When talking with Wu Ruowang, a great scholar, he couldn't get to the point. Next to him, Yu Baohua and his wife were so honest that they couldn't even get a word in. Li Changsheng, on the other hand, sometimes casually said a few words, but Wu Ruowang treated it as a treasure, which made Li Changsheng a little embarrassed. "President Wu, don't praise me. I'm not as excellent as you say." "Yes, absolutely." Wu Ruowang laughed. "You don't have to be modest. Not only do I think you are excellent, but my daughter also praised you a lot these days. She said that you're a piece of unpolished jade and ordinary people can't find your inner qualities." Wu Ruowang seemed to be in a particularly good mood. Meeting Li Changsheng here, it seemed that he wanted to set up his daughter and Li Changsheng. "Changsheng, do you want me to pluck a prawn for you?" Wu Shaowan didn't wait for Li Changsheng to answer and put the plucked prawn meat into Li Changsheng's bowl. This action attracted the attention of everyone at the table. This made Li Changsheng, who was originally a supporting role in this banquet, suddenly rise to the status of the protagonist. Beauties were very grateful, especially a stunning beauty like Wu Shaowan. This seemingly casual action, in the eyes of the Yu family, was no different from throwing a mine into the deep sea, which was a little shocking. Wu Ruowang sighed and muttered, "A grown girl can't be kept at home." But looking at his eyes that were narrowed into crescents, it was obvious that he couldn't hide his smile. Li Changsheng looked at the prawn meat in his bowl and really didn't know whether to put it into his mouth or not. At this time, Yu Yue suddenly picked up a piece of crab and put it into Li Changsheng's bowl. "This is the Yangcheng Lake Hairy Crab. It's very delicious. Try it." Yu Baohua and his wife looked a little strange. Even they didn't enjoy such treatment today, especially the hairy crab that Yu Yue put into his bowl was obviously the fattest and biggest one. Yu Jianfeng had to look at Li Changsheng carefully again, thinking, "I didn't know that this guy was hiding his strength." His niece fell in love with him, which can be regarded as the first awakening of love and a moment of confusion. But even a beautiful woman like Wu Shaowan also fell in love with him. This possibility is a little small. And Wu Ruowang is an old fox. He obviously supports his daughter's behavior. Is there anything unusual about this guy? Chapter 202. Yu Baohua took a sip of the white wine in his glass, feeling a little complicated. Originally, today's banquet was a family discussion to break up the couple, but it seemed that the poor boy he didn't like was quite popular. If he hit him, Li Changsheng might become Wu Ruowang's son-in-law in the blink of an eye. There must be some reason for Wu Ruowang to like him. He turned to look at his wife, only to see Yue's mother lowering her head, thinking about something. In terms of family, Wu Ruowang's social status was much higher than Yu Yue's. In terms of appearance, Wu Xiaowang was not inferior to Yu Yue. If his Yu Wei was compared with Wu Xiaowang, she didn't seem to have any advantage. Yu Baohua had unknowingly changed his mind. However, what his cousin Yu Jianfeng said at that time was very likely to push Li Changsheng to Wu Xiaowang's side. Yu Baohua was slightly annoyed. Wu Ruowang took the initiative to raise her glass and clinked it with Li Changsheng's. There aren't many people who can be liked by this old man. Li Changsheng, you're one of them. It's fate that we can meet here today. If there's anything in the future, just let me know. Also, Xiaowang, and you're in the same school. You can interact with each other when you're free. Okay. Li Changsheng smiled and nodded. Yu Jianfeng's eyes were already shining. He was thinking about how to send his son to Green Vine Middle School. With Wu Ruowang's attitude towards Li Changsheng, wasn't it just a matter of saying a word? Changsheng, are you free on Sunday? I'll treat you to a meal. Don't refuse again. I'm sincerely inviting you. Wu Xiaowang immediately said, I should have time. Li Changsheng had a headache. After hearing Li Changsheng's words, Wu Xiaowang directly grabbed Li Changsheng's arm and shook it. You must promise me. Don't refuse again. Okay. Li Changsheng was a little helpless. By the way, Yu Yue, do you mind lending Li Changsheng to me for a day? Wu Xiaowang suddenly looked at Yu Yue. Yu Yue was stunned. She shook her head and said, of course not. But don't eat too late. Changsheng promised to accompany me to the night market. Really? Wu Xiaowang smiled. Her expression was a little unnatural. By the way, Changsheng, I still have to thank you for the resurrection grass last time. Xiaowang's grandfather has been delirious for many years. Now that he has taken the resurrection grass, he finally got better. That medicinal herb of yours should have been given to you by Miss Nangong. I didn't expect that you and Miss Nangong were friends. The more Wu Ruowang looked at Li Changsheng, the more he admired him. Everyone in the room pricked up their ears. Yu Baohua naturally didn't know what kind of existence the Nangong family was, but his brother Yu Jianfeng's face was full of surprise. Originally, Yu Jianfeng's status and Nangong Jingmeng's were not on the same level. Coincidentally, Yu Jianfeng had a friend who was in the medicine business. He often mentioned it to him and told him that there was a giant in the northwest called the Nangong family. Big brother, didn't you say that this Li Changsheng was just a poor boy? How could he know the Nangong family's Miss Nangong Jingmeng? The Nangong family is a pharmaceutical giant in the northwest, with a net worth of hundreds of billions. Yu Jianfeng whispered to Yu Baohua. What? Yu Baohua's hand trembled, and the chopsticks fell to the ground. Suddenly, everyone's gaze was attracted. Yu Baohua smiled awkwardly. After picking up the chopsticks, he didn't care about the loss of composure on his face. He looked at Li Changsheng and asked, Changsheng, I didn't expect you to know so many rich people. Last time, didn't you say that both your parents died and your family is from the countryside? So what if I'm from the countryside? Can't people from the countryside know those big shots? Moreover, I'm a big shot myself. Li Changsheng thought so in his heart, but he smiled and said, because of some things, I helped her a little by chance, and we became friends. You're a little modest. I heard that you didn't help a little, and as the miss of the Nangong family, even if it's a little, not everyone can help. Wu Xiaowang said. Since knowing Li Changsheng's identity, the image of Li Changsheng in her heart was incomparably mysterious and magnificent. Li Changsheng smiled and didn't try to explain himself. Yes, Changsheng, Xiaowang is right. You're too low-key. Although low-key is a virtue, it's easy to be looked down upon. Wu Ruowang's unintentional words made everyone in the Yu family feel a little hot on their faces. However, Yu Jianfeng's eyes became brighter and brighter. His niece had a good relationship with Li Changsheng. In addition, Li Changsheng was so powerful. Maybe not only did his son have hope of entering Green Vine High School, but he could also help him in other areas. Not to mention other things, just based on his relationship with Nangong Jingmeng, he could make a lot more money by cooperating with the Nangong family on some projects. After all, compared to the Nangong family, his wealth was not worth mentioning at all. The soup left after the Nangong family ate the meat could fill him to death. Changsheng, come and eat more. Yu Jianfeng took the initiative to stand up and put a piece of tofu on Li Changxing's plate. After sitting down, he tugged at his elder brother Yu Baogua's sleeve. Seeing that Yu Baogua still didn't understand, he simply leaned over and whispered a few times in his ear. However, Yu Baogua's eyes became brighter and brighter. He chuckled and said, "Changsheng, there's no other reason for inviting you out for a meal this time. Firstly, it's to thank you for helping Yue last time. Secondly, you're not young anymore. Young people have their own ideas. If you like Yue, we won't object. See if there are any elders in your family. Let's have a meal together." Li Changxing was stunned by Yu Baogua's words. Yu Yue also widened her eyes. What's going on? Did the sun rise from the west? Especially Yu Yue. She naturally knew that her family was firmly opposed to her and Li Changxing's relationship. Why did the wind suddenly change? Yu Jianfeng cast an admiring look at his elder brother. He thought to himself, although my elder brother is not promising in his life, his brain works fast enough. I just told him that Li Changsheng is very likely to be a rich man's son, and Yu Baoguo immediately reacted. Smart, really smart. Meet parents? Wu Xiaowan's expression was obviously a little strange at this moment. Have they already reached this point? Wu Ruowan glanced at Li Changsheng and Yu Yue and felt that the two were indeed a good match. It seemed that his daughter didn't have a chance. He couldn't help but sigh. Over the years, there were many people who pursued Wu Xiaowan. Wu Xiaowan had also found a few partners, but Wu Ruowan was not satisfied with most of them. Finally, Li Changxing appeared, and he was about to become someone else's son-in-law. He couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Chapter 203. The meal was a little magnificent. When they left the restaurant, it was almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Li Changxing wanted to take a taxi back, but Yu Jianfeng insisted on driving him back to school. On the way, he kept asking about Li Changxing's real identity. Li Changxing answered with a few words, which made Yu Jianfeng feel that Li Changxing was more mysterious. When he returned to the dormitory, Jiang Tao and the others were already there. Seeing them in high spirits, Li Changxing found out that Chen Wan's operation was very successful and she could be discharged from the hospital soon. The three of them were discussing who interceded for Chen Wan so that the tycoon would let his specialist do the operation for Chen Wan. Although Shang Jianpain is not very pleasing to the eye, what he did this time was very interesting. If he didn't call, Chen Wan would be in danger. Because of Li Changsheng, the 305 dormitory used to be hostile to Shang Jianpain, but after what happened with Chen Wan, everyone's opinion began to change. Yeah, I thought Shang Jianpain's family was similar to mine, but it seems that his connections are very wide. He can talk to people in the capital. Jiang Tao also sighed. By the way, Changsheng, you won 400,000 yuan from Shang Jianpain last time in Chuzhou City. If you ask me, you should apologize to him. Shang Jianpain may not care about a few 100,000 yuan, but offending such a person is always a bad thing. It's better to resolve it. Yang Fan said. However, Jiang Tao glared at him and said, "What's there to apologize for? Do you think it will be over after you apologize?" However, Changsheng, you really have to be careful. Shang Jianpain's family is so powerful. When the time comes, just a flick of their fingers is not something a small character like you can handle. I know. Li Changxing smiled. He didn't expect that when he told Su Xiaolin not to reveal his identity, everyone would think of Shang Jianpain. He did a good deed without leaving his name and was replaced by someone else, which made him feel a little uncomfortable, especially when it was Shang Jianpain who he hated. By the way, Changsheng, Chen Wan's surgery was very successful today. Chen Wan's dad said that he's going to treat everyone to a meal on Sunday. Are you going? Jiang Tao suddenly asked. I won't be going. Li Changsheng shook his head. I've already promised someone this Sunday. I see. Jiang Tao regretted asking this question. If Chen Wan didn't invite Li Changsheng, his question would only make Li Changsheng feel awkward. In fact, Chen Wan did not intend to invite Li Changsheng at all. Sunday came quickly. On this day, Wu Xiaowan dressed up beautifully and met Li Changsheng at the school gate to have dinner together. During the last trip to Medicine King Valley, Li Changsheng was very disappointed with Wu Xiaowan's performance. But since he had already promised to treat her to a meal, Li Changsheng naturally would not go back on his word. In a high-end restaurant, Li Changsheng and Wu Xiaowan sat down in a private room. There were only 2 people in the large private room, which seemed a bit empty, but Wu Xiaowan seemed to like this environment very much. Changsheng, tell me your story. I'm very curious about you. Wu Xiaowan rested her cheeks on her hands and quietly looked at Li Changsheng. There's nothing to tell about my story. Li Changsheng was really helpless with Wu Xiaowan. Recently, this woman seemed to have a screw loose, as if she didn't want to leave him. If it weren't for the incident in Medicine King Valley, Li Changsheng might have really been moved. Unable to stand Wu Xiaowan's affectionate eyes, Li Changsheng found an excuse to smoke a cigarette in the corridor. Changsheng, why are you here? A surprised voice sounded. Li Changsheng, who had just put out the cigarette, but looked up in surprise and saw Jiang Tao in a suit walking over. I'm here to eat. Eat? By yourself? Jiang Tao looked puzzled. Just as Li Changsheng was about to speak, another voice sounded. Could it be that Qinhuan didn't invite him and he came here to freeload? Zhang Mingming walked over with Shang, Jianping's arm. Ever since the incident in Chuzhou City, Li Changsheng and Zhang Mingming had a grudge against each other. No, I'm here to treat someone to a meal. Li Changsheng smiled and said, You? Treat someone to a meal? Do you know how much a meal in this hotel costs? I remember you won 400,000 from my boyfriend in Chuzhou City. You must have spent most of it at Haoxiang Hotel. Do you think you have the money to treat someone to a meal here? Just say that you want to eat here. Although Chanwan didn't invite you, she wouldn't kick you out. Zhang Mingming's words were so blunt that Li Changsheng couldn't help but frown. Isn't this Mr. Li? A group of people walked over from afar. Chunwan's father, Chun Jiqing, walked at the front. Chunwan had just finished her surgery and couldn't be discharged from the hospital. Therefore, her father had come to treat her to a meal to thank Shang Jianping. Chun Jiqing had met Li Changsheng at the hospital the day before. Li Changsheng had asked for the name of the tycoon in Jin City. If Chunwan hadn't told him that Li Changsheng came from an ordinary family, Chun Jiqing would have thought that Li Changsheng was the one who helped Chunwan. Mr. Li, Wan Er's surgery was successful because of everyone's help. You have to drink with your uncle today. Chun Jiqing laughed and said. He didn't know who Chunwan had invited. When he saw Li Changsheng, he thought that it was Chunwan who invited Li Changsheng. Uncle Chun, my Shang Jianping, is the one who really helped. What did he do? Chunwan didn't invite him. He's shameless to come here and freeload. After Zhang Mingming's words, the smile on Chun Jiqing's face froze for a moment. Then, he laughed and said, Don't freeload. Wan Er didn't invite him, so she must have forgotten. Mr. Li was also very concerned about Wan Er's condition that day. Let's have a drink together later. Although Chun Jiqing said so, there was a strange look in his eyes. It didn't matter how poor a person was, as long as he had the ambition. If he came here to freeload without being invited, it would make people speechless. Not only Chun Jiqing, but Hao Ting, Su Ying, and some other friends also showed disdain in their eyes. Even Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan had a strange look on their faces. They were in the same dormitory as Li Changsheng. They usually called each other brothers and were always on Li Changsheng's side. However, Li Changsheng's behavior today was too embarrassing. Changsheng, let's have a drink together at today's banquet. Jiang Tao patted Li Changsheng's shoulder, trying to help Li Changsheng resolve the awkwardness in front of him. Zhang Xiaofeng also said, Yes, Changsheng, let's have a drink together. Let's see how much you can drink. I've never seen you drunk before. Yang Fan also echoed, Today is Uncle Chin's big day to celebrate the success of Chunwan's surgery. Let's have a good time together. Chun Jiqing was about to speak, but Shang Jianping said coldly, I don't like to eat with him. If you want to invite him, then I'll go back first. After saying that, he pretended to leave. Don't. Chun Jiqing hurriedly stopped Shang Jianping. Today's banquet is mainly to thank you. You're the main character. How can you leave? After saying that, he looked at Li Changsheng with some embarrassment. Mr. Li, I'm really sorry. Uncle will invite you alone another day. It's okay. Li Changsheng smiled. I'm here with a friend. She's probably been waiting for a long time. I won't talk to you anymore. After saying that, he turned and walked to the corridor. He's just pretending. He wanted to freeload, but failed. He's afraid of losing face, so he found an excuse to run away. Zhang Mingming snorted coldly. Although the others didn't say anything, they obviously had the same idea as Zhang Mingming. Chapter 204. He didn't even invite him, yet he came here by himself. How embarrassing. A girl curled her lips and said in a voice that was neither high nor low. Because Li Chongsheng didn't go far, Li Chongsheng happened to hear it. What nonsense are you talking about? Chongsheng said that he was treating his friend to a meal, and he just happened to bump into us. Jiang Tao couldn't help but glare at the girl. What are you staring at? I'm just telling the truth. Why do you think it's unpleasant? Cover your ears with your hand. The girl was also unruly. She wasn't afraid of Jiang Tao, a rich second generation. Enough. Zhang Xiaofeng pulled Jiang Tao. How shameful. He came here to freeload, but he could only leave with his tail between his legs. It's already the 21st century. How can there be such people? The girl said in a strange voice. Who's freeloading? Chongsheng is willing to spend hundreds of thousands to treat us to a meal in the Imperial Hall. Why would he care about this meal? You better watch your mouth. Jiang Tao pointed at the girl's nose and shouted. What are you shouting for? What are you shouting for? Don't think that I don't know that he's a poor boy. He worked several jobs in order to study. Last time, when he treated us to a meal in the Imperial Hall, he spent the money he won from Shang Jianping. Now, he's probably a pauper again. Your friend obviously wants to freeload, saying that he's here to accompany a friend. If Uncle Chun said that he wanted to invite him, he would definitely follow us to eat. You're not a good person to have such a friend. You're asking for a beating. Jiang Tao raised his hand in anger. However, Zhang Xiaofeng pulled him away. Suddenly, the corridor became noisy and chaotic. Li Chongsheng, who had already walked a distance, stopped at this time, then turned around and walked back. You said that I'm here to freeload. I'm too lazy to argue with you. But Jiang Tao is defending me. You can't insult him. With that, Li Chongsheng looked at the girl. I hope you apologize to Jiang Tao now. Apologize? The girl couldn't help but chuckle. Why should I apologize? You're here to freeload, but they didn't invite you, so you can only find an excuse to leave. Am I wrong? Of course not. Li Chongsheng shook his head. Since it's not right, then prove it to me. Didn't you say that you came to eat with someone else? Where was that person? Ask him to come out, and I'll apologize to your friend immediately. That girl had an aggressive attitude. What do you mean by accompanying people for dinner? That was all made up by him. How would he dare to agree to your request? Zhang Mingming sneered. That's enough, Li Chongsheng. Speak less. Because Jiang Tao wanted to fight with someone because of Li Chongsheng, Su Ying said somewhat angrily. In her view, it wasn't worth it for Jiang Tao to have a friend like Li Chongsheng. She hoped that this matter would stop here and not blow up further. Otherwise, it would be even more embarrassing. Who knew that Li Chongsheng didn't seem to care about her at all? Instead, he said to the woman, as long as I can prove it, you have to apologize to Jiang Tao. If you can't do it, don't blame me for being impolite. Hee hee. The woman sneered twice. Her hands were crossed in front of her chest, and her face was full of contempt. Chongsheng, I think we should forget about it. We are all Chunwan's friends. What are you doing? Zhang Xiaofeng came out to smooth things over. Everyone had a preconceived notion that Li Chongsheng was here to freeload. No matter what Li Chongsheng said, they didn't believe it. Chun Jiqing was here to invite everyone to dinner, and Li Chongsheng just happened to appear here. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? Especially Su Ying, at this moment, her good impression of Li Chongsheng completely disappeared. She had thought that even if Li Chongsheng's family was poor and he had to work a few jobs to support his studies, at least it would not be shameful for him to earn money with his own hands. But now, in order to freeload a meal, he had put down his pride and did not leave quickly after being exposed. He had to make her boyfriend lose face as well. Well, since Li Chongsheng wants to prove it to us, then we'll give him a chance. Shang Jianping said in a strange tone. He didn't believe that Li Changsheng could really find his so-called friend. Li Changsheng, now you can ask your friend to show up. As long as your friend can show up in 5 minutes, it means that what you said is true. Hurry up and make the call, the woman said with a playful look. Li Changsheng nodded. No need to make the call. She's in a box in front. As he spoke, he strode to the front. The others followed him with a puzzled look, thinking, is he really here to have dinner with his friend? When the door of the box was opened, many people craned their necks to look inside, only to see that the whole box was empty except for a few dishes that had obviously been eaten. Hee hee, are you kidding me? Find a box that others haven't had time to clean up after dinner and say that it's the place where you just had dinner. Then you won't say that your friend has something to do and left in advance, will you? Shang Jianping said with a sneer. The others also showed a mocking look in their eyes. Su Ying's face was so gloomy that it almost dripped water. Li Changsheng really disappointed her. When she opened the box door just now, she still had hope in her heart, but now her hope was completely shattered. Even Jiang Tao showed a wry smile on his face. He didn't expect such an ending. Changsheng, are you a little tight recently? Last time at Haosheng Hotel, you must have spent a lot of money. You also want to save face and suffer. If you want to have a big meal, tell your brother will treat you. Zhang Xiaofeng patted Li Changsheng's shoulder. Now you're exposed, aren't you? The woman sneered. Chun Jiqing shook his head and thought, what a farce. Last time I heard that Li Changsheng knew the eldest daughter of the Chu family, and he also attached great importance to Li Changsheng. Now it seems that this so-called friend should be a big lie. Just when everyone was shaking their heads, Zhang Mingming suddenly muttered, isn't that the first goddess of our university, Wu Shaoan? It's really Wu Shaoan. There were many students of Qingzhou University present. Who didn't know the famous first goddess of the university? Hello, Teacher Wu. A boy from Qingzhou University took the initiative to greet her. Wu Shaoan responded with a smile, which made the other party somewhat flattered. Teacher Wu, can I invite you to have a meal? That student asked for a yard after getting an inch. I'm sorry, I already have an appointment today. Wu Shaoan declined with a smile. That's a pity. That boy was slightly disappointed, but he quickly adjusted his mentality. After all, Wu Shaoan was the first goddess of the university. It was normal to refuse him. In the entire Qingzhou University, the number of people who could invite Wu Shaoan out for a meal could be counted with one hand. Changsheng, where did you go? You said you were going out, but you disappeared for a long time, leaving a beautiful girl like me in the box. Can you feel at ease? Wu Shaoan smiled and walked toward Li Changsheng. Everyone in the room was dumbfounded, as if they were struck by lightning. Li Changsheng actually came here to have a meal with a friend, and his friend was the famous goddess of Qingzhou University, Wu Shaoan. How about it? Now you can apologize to my friend, right? Li Changsheng looked at the woman. The woman reluctantly apologized to Jiang Tao, then turned around and walked toward the stairs. Obviously, she didn't plan to participate in the celebration banquet. The rest of the people were still in a daze until they saw Li Changsheng and Wu Shaoan enter the box together and close the door. Only then did they wake up from their dream. Chapter 205. In the corridor, everyone was dumbfounded. Qingzhou University's #1 goddess. How many people had tried every possible way to get to know Wu Shaoan? Yet Li Changsheng and Wu Shaoan came out to eat together, and from the looks of it, their relationship was not ordinary. Are you kidding me? Isn't this like a flower inserted in cow dung? A student of Qingzhou University muttered, feeling somewhat indignant. What are you talking about? Jiang Tao's face suddenly sank. His eyes were also filled with shock, but at the same time, he couldn't help but laugh. This group of ignorant guys, their disdainful faces just now were now slapped in the face. Changsheng really hides his strength. He's a beauty killer. Several people in Dorm 305 had this thought in their minds at the same time. First, it was by Qinxue, then Yu Wei, and now even the beauty Wu Shaoan was taken by Li Changsheng. Although they didn't know how far the two had progressed, it was already amazing to ask Wu Shaoan out to eat. On the other side, Shang Jianping's face was as calm as water. He originally thought that Zhang Mingming didn't choose Li Changsheng, but chose him instead, which was a kind of victory. But at this moment, he found that Zhang Mingming was far inferior to the women who appeared beside Li Changsheng. Comparing goods to goods, one would throw them away, and comparing people to people, one would die. Zhang Mingming was also a proper beauty, but compared to Wu Shaoan, she was dwarfed and overshadowed. Zhang Mingming's eyes flickered. There was a somewhat complicated feeling in her heart. At first, she had hoped to have a relationship with Li Changsheng. But because she listened to Chen Wan and Hao Ting's persuasion, plus seeing Li Changsheng working as a waiter in a KTV, she felt that the gap between Li Changsheng and Shang Jianping was too big. Finally, she chose Shang Jianping. But at this moment, seeing women who were more outstanding than her appear beside Li Changsheng one after another, even she couldn't help but ask herself if her choice was wrong. Li Changsheng might have advantages that she didn't find. Even if Wu Shaoan accompanied him to eat, so what? It still doesn't change the fact that he's a bumpkin. Finally, Shang Jianping said coldly, but there was a clear feeling of jealousy in his tone. Yeah, having a meal doesn't mean anything. Hao Ting chimed in. Back then, she and Chen Wan tried their best to persuade Zhang Mingming to choose Shang Jianping. If Li Changsheng was more outstanding than Shang Jianping, Zhang Mingming might blame them. All right, let's go eat first. Dr. Zhao, who operated on Wan said that he's flying back to the capital tonight. That millionaire's illness can't be delayed for even a moment. I originally wanted to treat him to a meal to thank him, but now it seems that I can't. After the banquet, I have to personally send him off. Chen Jiqing didn't have such a big reaction like the others. Although Wu Shaoan's appearance was stunning, at his age, although it couldn't be said that he was invulnerable to 100 evils, he had long been able to restrain his desires and hide his true thoughts. The group of people turned around and walked into the private room on the other side. Li Changsheng and Wu Shaoan stayed for a while before the two left the restaurant. As soon as he stepped out of the restaurant, he received a call from Su Xiaolin. Sir, the expert surnamed Zhao said that he wants to see you. He is very curious about the person who can make Chairman Wan Xin, who cherishes his life, take the risk to come to Qingzhou for treatment. Originally, I refused, but the other party repeatedly asked, so I agreed to come and ask for your opinion. See him? You didn't reveal my identity, did you? No, absolutely not. Su Xiaolin on the other end of the phone promised. Since the other party is curious, he can be regarded as doing me a favor and fulfilling his wish. Okay, then I'll call him and ask him to pick you up. No, I'll go see him. Tell me the address. After hanging up the phone, Li Changsheng waved to Wu Shaoan, who was leaning against the car door and waiting for him, and then said loudly, I have something to do and won't go back to school. Call me if you need anything. After that, he went to the side of the road. A black Santana stopped, and the window rolled down. It was Peng Tiexin. Peng Tiexin was responsible for following Li Changsheng under Su Xiaolin's order. No matter where Li Changsheng went, he was nearby. He usually didn't come out, but as long as Li Changsheng needed him, he would appear. Li Changsheng directly opened the door and sat in the car. Soon, they arrived at a 5-star hotel and parked the car. The two went in. Because it was not a hotel, the front desk didn't let strangers in casually. Li Changsheng told the front desk the name of the expert. After the front desk found the expert's room number, they directly called him. The other party received the call from the front desk and said impatiently, Who is it? When the front desk said Li Changsheng's name, the other party immediately changed his tone. Soon, a figure in a suit came out of the elevator. He was about 50 years old, bald, and neither fat nor thin. As soon as he came out, he affectionately held Li Changsheng's hand. It was very different from Li Changsheng's impression of experts who didn't smile. He was very enthusiastic and flattering. The expert said that there was a tea house nearby. He had already booked a private room and invited Li Changsheng to go there. After leaving the hotel, they walked for nearly 100 meters and came to a tea house called Jian and Waterside Pavilion. Along the way, expert Zhao didn't dare to walk in front of Li Changsheng. From beginning to end, He kept half a step behind Li Changsheng. He was obviously surprised by Li Changsheng's age. He didn't expect that the big shot who made the call was such a young man. He sighed in his heart. He's really young and low-key. I can't see any background at all. In the tea house, a woman in a green cheongsam with the graceful aura of a Jiangnan woman was very skilled in brewing tea with a kind of beauty. This expert was obviously a person who was proficient in the tea ceremony. He took the initiative to pour tea into Li Changsheng's cup. Li Changsheng didn't pay attention to this. He just happened to be a little thirsty and drank a few cups. While brewing tea, the woman's eyes inevitably revealed some strange color. A pot of tea that cost more than 100,000 yuan was completely drunk by Li Changsheng as plain water. However, seeing the smiling appearance of expert Zhao, who was obviously not an ordinary person, the woman who was brewing tea had some doubts in her heart. When expert Zhao called before, he said that he wanted to entertain a big shot and had to take out the best tea in their shop. Before that, she was still nervous. She was afraid that there was any gap in her tea brewing level, and it would cause the big shot to be unhappy. However, it seemed that this big shot was really a bit ordinary. Mr. Li, it's really my blessing to be able to see your true face on this trip to Qingzhou. I'll toast you with tea instead of wine. If you need little Zhao in the future, just say a word, and I'll be at your beck and call. Expert Zhao stood up, bowed slightly, and picked up the teacup. The woman next to him had already widened her eyes. Spending hundreds of thousands of yuan worth of tea leaves to invite a young man dressed in ordinary clothes has already surprised her enough. But now he actually said, you, especially when expert Zhao was so old. He actually called himself Little Zhao in front of Li Changsheng. While she couldn't help but laugh, she also felt very surprised. Why does this Mr. Zhao look so familiar? Internal medicine expert Zhao Ming? The woman suddenly thought of a news she had seen some time ago about the legendary life of a domestic medical authority. This time, she looked at Li Changsheng's eyes, which were already full of shock. Chapter 206. After the woman in the cheongsam recognized Zhao Ming's identity, her attitude became more respectful. She was full of curiosity toward Li Changsheng, a young man with an ordinary appearance who was highly regarded by Zhao Ming. She quietly sized up Li Changsheng. As Li Changsheng's subordinate, Peng Tiexin didn't hide this time. Instead, he stood behind Li Changsheng, adding a bit of momentum to Li Changsheng. If it weren't for Peng Tiexin's thin appearance, the effect would have been several times stronger. After more than 10 minutes of communication, Li Changsheng's tone was easygoing. Zhao Ming finally relaxed and handed Li Changsheng a cigarette. After lighting it for him, he crossed his legs and casually asked, Changsheng, what's the relationship between you and Chen Wan? That girl is quite beautiful. Do you like her? With Zhao Ming's current identity, he naturally didn't have the qualifications to know about Su Xiaolin's existence. He had only heard that someone had greeted his client, the chairman of the Wanxin Group, Dong Xian, and Dong Xian had asked him to come to Qingzhou to treat Chen Wan's illness. According to his own guess, the person who could talk to Dong Xian was naturally not of a low level. Later, under his curious questioning, Dong Xian revealed a bit of information, saying that there was a young man in Qingzhou who passed a message to him through someone else. He became more and more curious. So before leaving Qingzhou, he asked Dong Xian several times to see Li Changsheng. Dong Xian's brain tumor hadn't been completely healed yet, so he still counted on Zhao Ming to treat him. Therefore, he asked Su Xiaolin if he could let Li Changsheng and Zhao Ming meet, which led to this meeting. Just an ordinary friend. Li Changsheng smiled. Zhao Ming's face was a little surprised. He thought that Li Changsheng wasn't telling the truth. After all, how could an ordinary friend be worth Li Changsheng's great efforts? In his opinion, Li Changsheng must have paid a certain price to be able to invite the chairman of Wanxin Group from Beijing. After sitting for a while, the two chatted about some irrelevant topics. Then, Li Changsheng got up and left. Zhao Ming sent Li Changsheng to the staircase and returned. Going down the stairs, he saw that Zhao Ming had already walked back to the tea room. Peng Tiexin could not help but feel a little indignant. Sir, I think you're giving Zhao Ming too much face. What do you mean? Li Changsheng asked as he played with his phone. You've already given him a lot of face by agreeing to meet him. But he didn't even call you sir, and directly called you by your name. And you saw it just now. When you went down the stairs, he actually walked you to the stairs and didn't even go downstairs. That's a bit too much. I'm fine. Li Changsheng did not mind. Peng Tiexin hesitated for a moment before saying, Sir, there are some people who think that you're easy to bully once you act friendly. This Dr. Zhao, even if he doesn't know your real identity, he can still guess some clues. When he first came in, he was very respectful to you. But after that, he became much more indifferent. He helped me. I don't care about this small matter. He's just an expert. I won't have any contact with him in the future. There's no need to care about this matter. Li Changsheng said with a smile. Indeed, for ordinary people, doctors may be used several times in their life. But Li Changsheng is an immortal cultivator. Immortal cultivators will not get sick easily. If they get sick, it's not something that doctors can cure. Yes, sir. I'm just a little bit angry for you. But now I've thought it through. He's just like an ant. How can he shake your state of mind? Haha, I like your analogy. Li Changsheng patted Peng Tiexin's shoulder, which made Peng Tiexin somewhat flattered. Just walking out of the tea house, Li Changsheng saw a familiar figure. It turned out to be Chen Ziqing, Chen Wan's father. After Chen Ziqing saw Li Changsheng, his face was a little surprised. Why are you here? I'm here to meet a friend, Li Changsheng said lightly. He didn't have a bad impression of Chen Ziqing, but he didn't have a good impression of him either. Although the other party's way of dealing with people could be considered smooth, and his appearance was very amiable, in fact, Li Changsheng could tell at a glance that he was very snobbish in his bones. Chen Ziqing was also a businessman. Businessmen focused on profits. Li Changsheng had never been willing to have too much contact with him. Li Changsheng just brushed past Chen Ziqing. Chen Ziqing was a little surprised. At the same time, he shook his head and muttered, A poor guy is quite arrogant. He probably hates that I didn't treat him to a meal. I thought he was a big shot because he knew the eldest daughter of the Chu family. I don't know what kind of luck he has to know the eldest daughter of the Chu family. Such a person is worthless. Chen Ziqing was thinking about something in his mind. Soon, he came to the private room on the second floor. The moment he entered the room, he squeezed out an extremely amiable smile. Dr. Zhao, I'm here. I heard that your flight is at 12 o'clock tonight. I've already prepared everything for you. There's also a paper bag of local specialties in your suitcase. Remember to taste it. Okay. Zhao Ming laughed heartily. Because it was the rich man who paid for him to come to Qingzhou to treat Chen Wan, he naturally couldn't charge for the treatment. But Chen Ziqing was a smart person. He had already prepared that. He naturally knew what was in the paper bag that Chen Ziqing was talking about. It seems that Dr. Zhao was drinking tea with a friend just now, Chen Ziqing said with a smile, but he was puzzled. He clearly remembered that Zhao Ming said that this was the first time he came to Qingzhou. How could he have a friend here? It's a young man. Zhao Ming smiled. Oh, right. Haven't you been asking who helped you to persuade President Dong to let me come to Qingzhou? I'll tell you secretly. It's the young man who just drank tea with me. He said that he's a friend of your daughter. I think he might be interested in your daughter. Oh, the person who interceded for me? Chen Ziqing's face was a little stunned. Wasn't it Shang Jianping who interceded for him? Well, he called Shang Jianping today to thank him. Shang Jianping also said that he did ask his father to ask a friend in Beijing. When he left just now, Shang Jianping was still eating in the restaurant. How could he come to drink tea with Zhao Ming at the same time? Isn't it Shang Jianping? Then who is it? Chen Wan's friend? Suddenly a figure jumped into his mind. Li Changsheng. Is it him? Is the one who drank tea with you the young man who isn't tall, wears very ordinary clothes, and has a very ordinary appearance? Yes. Zhao Ming nodded. Now you should know who it is. I know. Chen Ziqing took a deep breath. He remembered that he actually regarded Shang Jianping as the benefactor who saved his daughter in the restaurant and ignored the real benefactor. His heart was suddenly filled with regret. Chapter 207. Chen Jiqing calmed down and asked, Dr. Zhao, you just said that Li Changsheng is willing to help Chen Wan because he likes her, right? He looked at Zhao Ming and thought for a while. The Chen family small business wasn't considered rich. Since Li Changsheng was acquainted with the big shots in the capital, it meant that his background wasn't ordinary. Although his looks were ordinary, if Chen Wan could marry him, he would be a good match. Yes, Zhao Ming nodded. Everyone loves beauty. Your daughter is so beautiful. Isn't it normal for Li Changsheng to like her? Then I don't know what power Li Changsheng has to make that person in Beijing agree. Chen Jiqing stared at Zhao Ming's face and asked. This was the question he really cared about. How much power did Li Changsheng have? What was his real identity? He wanted to find a rich husband for his daughter. At least, he could not be inferior to the rich second generation like Jiang Tao and Shang Jianping. Moreover, Li Changsheng helped without leaving his name. He was low-key and quietly used so much power. In an instant, Li Changsheng's image in his heart kept rising. This, Zhao Ming hesitated. In fact, he was not clear about Li Changsheng's power, but the power he could use was definitely not low. However, thinking that Li Changsheng was so low-key and unwilling to reveal his identity, if he leaked it, it would inevitably offend people. Thinking of this, Zhao Ming smiled and said, In fact, it's nothing. The reason why President Dong is willing to let me come to Qingzhou to treat your daughter is actually my own idea. I and Changsheng have known each other for a long time. When I was in college, Changsheng's parents helped me. I owe him a favor. When Zhao Ming said this, the excitement on Chen Jiqing's face suddenly seemed to be poured with cold water. This was a little different from his imagination and expectations. Seeing Chen Jiqing's appearance, Zhao Ming realized something. However, since he had said it, it was not good to change it. He added, In fact, Changsheng still has potential. If you marry your daughter to him, it will not be wrong. Haha. Chen Jiqing forced a smile. He really couldn't see any potential in Li Changsheng. Perhaps Miss Chu and Zhao Ming, who he knew, could help him. However, he really couldn't see any potential in Li Changsheng, so he couldn't help but feel disappointed. When Li Changsheng returned to the dormitory, Jiang Tao and the others had already returned. They were excitedly discussing what happened at the restaurant today. When they saw Li Changsheng come in, they immediately surrounded him and chattered. They were all excited. Changsheng, you've shown your face for us today. Didn't you see how those guys' faces were as black as charcoal? Jiang Tao patted Li Changsheng's shoulder and laughed. That's right, Changsheng. I didn't expect you to be so secretive. Last time when we said that we were going to attend Wu Xiaowan's class, you pretended to be indifferent. I didn't expect you to be hiding something behind the scenes. You've already won Wu Xiaowan's heart. Tell us, how far have you progressed? Zhang Xiaofeng asked. Thinking about the dance between Li Changsheng and Wu Xiaowan in class last time, he felt that the relationship between Li Changsheng and Wu Xiaowan was not ordinary. Yang Fan also showed a curious expression. Li Changsheng shrugged. No, we're just ordinary friends. Tisk. Jiang Tao and the other two curled their lips almost at the same time. In the next few days, Li Changsheng's life returned to normal. The fighting team was about to participate in the fighting competition. In these few days, Li Changsheng often appeared in the fighting room to teach them some killing moves. Although their strength was enough to get a good ranking in the competition, there was no harm in teaching them more skills to increase their protection. On this day, Li Changsheng just woke up in the morning. When he walked out of the dormitory building, he saw Chen Jiqing looking around under a white poplar tree. Seeing Li Changsheng come out, he hurried over. Changsheng, you finally came out. Uncle has been waiting for you here for almost half an hour. What's the matter? Li Changsheng asked faintly. Changsheng, why are you so distant with Uncle? Chen Jiqing laughed and patted Li Changsheng's shoulder. Li Changsheng could not help but frown. He was not used to the other party's intimate actions. Changsheng, I already know that you helped Shenwan. Thank you for saving my Xiaowan's life. Chen Jiqing sincerely bowed to Li Changsheng, attracting a lot of attention from the surrounding students. It's nothing. After all, Chen Wan and I know each other. Li Changsheng said faintly. I still have some things to do. Let's talk another day. After saying that, he was about to leave. Wait a minute, what's the rush? Chen Ji-chung pulled Li Changsheng and then said with a smile, Wan Er's condition is almost recovered. She could be discharged in half a month. That day is Wan Er's birthday. I hope you can come and visit. This is also Wan Er's wish. Does Chen Wan already know that I helped her? Li Changsheng scolded in his heart. This Dr. Zhao is not tight-lipped at all, but he didn't care. Whether she knew or not was just a change in her attitude. Yes, I didn't expect you to know Dr. Zhao before. That day in the hospital, you didn't say that your family sponsored Dr. Zhao when he was the poorest in college. This is very noble. Chen Ji-chung said to himself. Li Changsheng, on the other hand, was confused. He thought to himself, what is he talking about? It seemed that Dr. Zhao had helped him hide something. All right, I'll be there. After saying that, Li Changsheng turned and walked to the side of the road. Chen Jiqing looked at Li Changsheng's departing figure and couldn't help but stomp his foot and say to himself, Really? Why did I talk so much nonsense? I forgot about the important matter. He knew that Li Changsheng and Chu Ming knew each other, so he wanted to ask Li Changsheng to invite Chu Ming as well. He could use this opportunity to establish a relationship with the Chu family. This way, he could not only thank Li Changsheng for saving his life, but also get to know people from the Chu family. It was killing two birds with one stone. Unfortunately, before he could say anything, Li Changsheng left. Forget it. Wan doesn't know Chu Ming. Even if Li Changsheng invites her, she might not necessarily come. Since Li Changsheng likes Wan why not let Wan find a way to get to know Chu Ming through Li Changsheng? This can be considered as making the most of his value. As for the matter of him liking my daughter, Chen Ji-chung shook his head. If he was a rich second generation like Jiang Tao and Shang Jianping, even if he wasn't as good as them, I could still consider him. Unfortunately, according to the information I gathered, his parents are both dead, and he came from a village. In order to study, he went out to work. This kind of condition is really not good enough for my daughter. Chapter 208. The days always passed quietly, and life was still uneventful. The effects of his last trip to Medicine King's Valley were finally beginning to show. Many merchants were sending medicinal herbs to Li Changsheng. Because he had already gathered all the types of medicinal herbs, Li Changsheng was preparing to start refining again soon. This time, as long as the number of pills was enough, it should be able to make his cultivation break through again. However, the yuan in his hand was also decreasing day by day. 100 billion was definitely an astronomical number for many people, but now it was constantly decreasing like flowing water. Seeing that it had become an 8-digit number, Li Changsheng also had a trace of anxiety in his heart. It seems that I really need to find some source of money. He thought so in his heart, but he had no clue for a while. After all, he had lived for countless years and had never worried about making money. These days, Wu Shaoan often came to Li Changsheng. If it was not to invite him to a meal, it was to ask him to go to a movie. She wanted to make full use of the advantage of a woman chasing a man. However, Li Changsheng was somewhat unromantic. On the other hand, Yu Yue rarely came out because she had to prepare for the college entrance examination. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Today was the day Chen Wan was discharged from the hospital. It was also Chen Wan's birthday. Because he was invited by Chen Wan's father, Chen Jiqing, Li Changsheng arrived at the Hemingshuan restaurant that had already been booked at noon. As soon as he walked into the hall, he met the people he least wanted to meet, Shang Jianping and Zhang Mingming. The moment Shang Jianping saw Li Changsheng, his face showed a bit of unhappiness. Li Changsheng did not want to pay attention to him and wanted to walk away directly from him. However, he saw Shang Jianping stop Li Changsheng first. I say, Li Changsheng, you didn't succeed in getting a free meal last time. Why are you here again this time? Li Changsheng had to stop. I said that I was accompanying a friend to eat last time. Are you blind? Why are you saying that I'm trying to get a free meal? He was very unhappy with Shang Jianping's repeated provocations. As Li Changsheng's voice fell, Shang Jianping's face suddenly became extremely ugly. Even if you weren't here to freeload last time, what are you here for this time? I was invited by Chunwan's father, Chun Ji-chung. If you have any questions, you can ask him. Li Chongqing said coldly. He did not want to be entangled with him. At this time, Jiang Tao and the others walked over. Shang Jianping, are you done yet? Chongsheng was invited, not here to freeload. I know, but so what? I don't like him. Do you think he can enter the banquet hall to eat? Shang Jianping sneered. This is to celebrate Chun Wan's discharge from the hospital. It's Chun Wan's birthday party. Jiang Tao said in a deep voice. Whether you like it or not, what can you do? Jiang Tao's remaining good impression of Shang Jianping was completely destroyed. Although Zhang Xiaofeng and Yang Fan didn't dare to offend Shang Jianping too much, they were obviously on Jiang Tao's side. Why aren't you going in since you're here? Then he heard a deep voice. Chun Ji-chung came over. Uncle Chun, Chongsheng was invited by you to Chun Wan's birthday party, but Shang Jianping stopped him from going in. What? Chun Ji-chung looked at Shang Jianping in confusion. Shang Jianping said coldly, Uncle Chun, I said last time that I don't like to see him. If you invite him to Chun Wan's birthday party, then I'll leave. Then he pretended to leave. What are you doing? Jianping, you and Chongsheng are Wan Er's good friends, and you know each other before. Why are you so against each other? Shang Jianping didn't intend to leave. He just threatened Chun Ji-chung to make a choice. Hearing Chun Ji-chung's words, his footsteps stopped, and he said, Uncle Chun, this Li Chongsheng is a poor boy, and he has a bad heart. I hate him. If you insist on letting him attend Chun Wan's birthday party, then I'm sorry. Please forgive my rudeness, but I must leave. At this time, there were a lot of people around. When they asked the people around them about the ins and outs of the matter, they all looked at Li Chongsheng with pity, thinking that Chun Wan was indebted to him. Everyone knew what Chun Ji-chung would choose. Chun Ji-chung's face showed a difficult expression. Just when everyone thought that Li Chongsheng was going to be driven out, they heard Chun Ji-chung finally say, Jianping, if you insist on leaving, Uncle won't force you. Not only Shang Jianping, but everyone present was dumbfounded. What's going on? Zhang Mengming's eyes widened. After a while, she reacted and said, Uncle Chun, how can you do this? The reason why Wan Er can be saved is all because of my Jianping. Aren't you burning the bridge after crossing the river? Shang Jianping's face also showed anger. Uncle Chun, this is what you said. Without me, your daughter is very likely to be dead in the hospital now. Hearing the words of the two, Chun Ji-chung's face also became cold. Shang Jianping, I see that you are Wan Er's friend, so there are some things that I won't expose you, but you are really too much. The reason why Wan Er's operation this time was able to invite Dr. Zhao from Beijing, it was Li Chongsheng who really helped Wan Er. This is what Dr. Zhao told me personally. What? Shang Jianping was stunned. Zhang Mingming next to him was also dumbfounded. Impossible. My dad clearly told me that he helped to ask the connections in Beijing. As he spoke, he took out his phone. Hello, Dad. Last time I told you that my classmate Chen invited a Beijing expert. Before he finished speaking, Shang Jianping's words were interrupted by the voice on the other end. That friend of yours, Dad was so busy that I forgot about it. By the way, who did she invite? Dad is calling you now to see if I can talk to you. You also know that although your dad has some connections in Beijing, our family's company is too small, and there are only a few real big shots that we can get in touch with. While the other side was still talking on the phone, Shang Jianping had already put down his hand. He was in a daze, and the expression on his face was extremely ugly. It really wasn't me who helped her. Next to him, Zhang Mingming, who was originally indignant, was now flushed. In front of so many people, it was simply too embarrassing. At this time, Shang Jianping raised his head and looked at Li Chongsheng with resentment, then turned around and walked out of the door as if he had lost his soul. Uncle Chun, I'm really sorry. Zhang Mingming forced a smile at Chun Ji-chung, then chased after him. It was not until the two disappeared at the door that there was an uproar in the room. Jiang Tao and the other two looked at Li Changsheng in disbelief. No one would have thought that the one who really helped Chun Wan was Li Changsheng. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.